You gross pervert. You know what that is.
Yeah. Today we're just sitting around watching some fucking Netflix fashion show that Sarah's all into called Next in Fashion. It's got one of the dudes from the Queer Eye for a Straight Guy reboot. It's alright. We've been into a lot of these like weird elimination competition shows.
Yeah.
Watched like cooking one. Watched like
This weed
blowing one.
Is this gonna make me go crazy?
No, I got that. I mean, I don't know.
I saw him open it, but you know, you're like, I got Everclear in this weed too. I'm like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like back into some of those wacky shows too, where I'm just like,
excellent.
huh?
The glass blowing one was really cool.
Yeah.
And this one's not too bad. Like we watched like a makeup one too. The makeup
Face Off?
Yeah, I think so. The big goony baby Huey looking gay dude that wins.
I think, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that shit is
That
kind of
guy's gonna
sweet,
be
though.
easy to pick out.
There's like a drag queen challenge, and like they have to like go do drag makeup on these drag queens for like a stage performance, and like, they get literally none of them finish in time, and the fucking actual makeup people have to go through and like fix everything.
So, like, the makeup one or, like,
Makeup.
the like, Halloween mask type shit? The people who do, like, movie effects?
I haven't seen that.
That's the face-off
That's the face-off one?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds tight.
Yeah, because they do, like, all crazy prosthetics, and they're like, you have to come up with, like, a fucking monster design in 30 minutes and then draw it out and design it.
That's pretty sweet.
And then they have to make it in, like, they have, like, one day to
I'm
make
gonna get
it.
some water real quick. I'll be right back.
Cool.
There's one here that doesn't belong to me.
Do you have one of these?
Yeah.
Okay. Gordo, do you want one of these?
You want a beer skis?
Okay. I'm gonna put it back in the fridge then.
Cool. I like the light beer. This is good. It's good. I'm not gonna get the itis as easily.
Alright, Gordo, I guess just keep
The itis?
Yeah.
What? Just for this side of the table, I need to make Logan's arm just a little bit come in just a little bit here.
Man, Logan's having all sorts of work done on his arms this year.
Yeah, right?
And then that way,
These black ones
It'll
correspond
see
to mine.
everyone here.
So I get these guys.
I think so.
And the green knee.
I think so. And like you'll hear stuff on the mic.
Whoa.
You'll hear how loud you gotta talk.
Whoa. I can't.
It's like weird for the first 10 minutes, and then you'll get used to it.
I don't know how to make my thing spin. So it's
Spin.
like,
Oh,
it's all fucking
hold on.
mashed up on something.
Hold on.
Go up.
Gordo, am I adjusting this right? No. Sorry, it was all buckled in.
Yeah.
Is that good?
I think yeah. It's pretty solid, man.
Put the spit shield.
How's the audio?
Whoa. It's not gonna click the whole time like
I
last
can't
time.
really. I guess I can kind of hear it.
Dude, we think that's the
It's not
we think that's just from using a really old fucking computer, man. Like, it's happened on a few things. I actually had Mikey hit me up because he had somebody come in to do a voiceover on something.
Uh-huh. Weird.
Yeah, we got a little click from just like moving the cable, but that's it.
I rolled a.
Hey. Can I get
This is not mine.
No, that's mine from another episode.
Alright, well you can have it back.
All right. Hey, that's a good looking joint, man.
Well, yeah, I use my little roller guy.
Do you got me coming in through there, Gordo? Can I get more headphone?
Can I get a little more dick in the headphone?
Hey, you talking about me?
Can I get a little more butt in the headphone,
A
please?
little more butt in the
There's a
headphone.
little, there's just a slight click, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal on that
I
side.
get.
My phone's still on. I'm gonna turn it off.
Yeah, a click from what? Like a click from
I'm gonna go airplane mode.
the input, or a click from?
This.
Just a
This
slight
1,000-year-old
clipping
computer.
sound like we got last time. It's not near as bad as last time.
Okay, you can take down the output on the.
Coffee.
The other thing is that Joey was watching it last time and he said the audio was really quiet.
sound like the.
I don't think I would actually change it.
Ocean Castle.
Okay.
I think it's good. We might get an annoying clip here and there, and we're gonna have to figure out how to work on that.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on this. You know, we're learning how to do it. Welcome to episode 91 of the motherfucking podcast.
Hang on, you might want to do that again. I'm not rolling yet.
Oh.
Can I get a little more?
See all the intricacies of the.
I don't know if I can hear.
I feel like I'm really quiet. Am I really quiet?
Can I get a couple more
I
farts
hear
on your
you.
phone?
You're never quiet. Ever.
Hi.
Quiet.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
I just pressed a button and it clicked. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
which one are you, Aaron?
I am.
Are you number one?
He's the singer guy.
I'm number one. I'm number one.
We all know
Me,
number
me,
one.
me. Says the guy. Hey, oh, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ho, 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 ho. Hey. Are you seeing me on there?
I think it looks good.
Can I get just a touch more me in the headphones? Just a little. Not a lot.
Touch more.
I just feel like I'm whispering.
Hey.
Try
I can
that
hear-
one.
I
It's
can
a
hear everyone
sweet
pretty
blinky
well.
hat.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, it is.
I don't think we're rolling either.
No.
Try it now.
Hey,
Fart.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't think we're
I
rolling
sound
either.
a little more normal. I just don't want to feel like I'm yelling. Really
Ah.
trying to make myself sound.
I
right.
can hear you.
Make
Okay,
it
cool.
mellow, man. Make it real
Well, we
mellow.
haven't smoked a
Well,
joint.
they're about to. They're about to.
Hey guys, I don't know how I feel about this knife on the table. It's very dangerous.
Well, put it in your butt.
Wow.
So we're actually rolling for the actual full
I don't think we are.
podcast.
You didn't arm the tracks.
Oh, good
Fart.
God.
On the shit. Poop. Poop.
These are the loose ends that can hang us, Gordo.
Fart 2020.
See, those of you watching the live stream are getting like bonus
This
content.
is what happens when you introduce technology
Bonus,
on
bonus
top of
idiot
technology.
content.
We throw a new thing in there, and it all falls apart.
Well, then the MF Pod CPU will come and remove your penis, which it did for me.
Hey, welcome to episode 91 of the motherfucking podcast.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's a 9 and a 1.
This is, of course, the official podcast of the International Power Rock Combo, motherfucking Ruckus from Denver and Chicago, respectively.
Shit, yeah.
I'm Aaron Howell,
I'm Logan. I'm here.
I'm Gordo.
and we are joined in studio today with two awesome guys. One of them a repeat, the only repeat I think we've ever done on the show.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, the only returning guest. Just because he had so much fun, he wanted to come back, and we've been working on some stuff that's.
I was just like
It's
hanging
pretty
out with my
topical.
friends, and we're like dads and stuff now.
And
Dude.
you're only in it for the sponsors. We know.
Dude, this is the rock and roll retirement plan. It's
I
like
just can't
once
wait
you,
to yell Matula.
once you like can't go out as much, like you can get the pass to go do a podcast with your friends for a few hours. You know what I mean?
I didn't tell my girlfriend until this morning.
You've been on the calendar for 3 months.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. No. I get that.
She was like, "How long are you gonna be around this morning?" And I was like, "I'm gonna leave at like 1 or 2." And she was like, "Okay."
That's cool.
And then what? And I was like, "I'm gonna go do the podcast."
Yeah.
Remember, I told you.
Ah, there you go.
Which I did. I told her.
I
I
told
told her
you.
when we put it on the calendar.
I
That was the first
actually have found that when I put stuff on the calendar way in advance, like Sarah's way more cool with it.
Yeah.
She's way more cool with it. It's like it's been on the calendar for 3 months.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I told her right when we booked it. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
And then that's the last I mentioned it until today.
Yeah, you got that plausible deniability.
It's like it's on February 3rd. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you'll remember that forever. There's nothing else that is occupying your mental space.
Yeah.
No, please welcome to the show, longtime listener, second-time guest, longtime friend, the one and only Jay Partylord is here. Woo! Woo! And then never listener, first-time guest, relatively decent time acquaintance and friend.
Yeah.
Please welcome Max Sherman to the show. And what's your art name, Max?
Well, I guess just my Instagram handle is Kool-Aid Mustache. I don't know if I'd actually say it was like an art name, but
You don't have an art name like Jay Partylord?
I don't have anything cool like that.
Yeah, you don't have
I
a
know.
sweet identity that people make fun of constantly.
A sweet brand? That's what, and when I think of when I think of Partylord, I think of like a guy that's like in a Hawaiian shirt, just like showing up, super extroverted and loud, and like, hey everybody, the Partylord is here.
Not a socially anxious stoner.
Yeah, not a guy who would like rather have nails shoved under his fingernails than like
And hang out with a Hawaiian shirt guy with a tequila gun.
I mean, I have Hawaiian shirts. I've got 4.
I feel like when I first met you, you were on like a sober streak, and I was like, I don't understand
where the Partylord thing.
the Party Lord, but
I
now
take
do.
breaks from drinking on and off, so.
Yeah. No, that's smart. And I think the Partylord would have that kind of foresight to know that
That's
you
a
got to
professional party lord.
Yeah.
Right?
You
And
gotta,
let's be real. There's,
Also, partying doesn't always have to involve
that's right.
drugs and
Yeah.
alcohol.
That's
right.
Anything can be a party.
yeah.
I mean, I play in a band where like half our songs are about partying, and I don't even go out.
Yeah.
Like I do this podcast and I play shows, but I don't go. Like I'm going to a party tonight. I'm going to like the
1-year-old's birthday party.
No, but that's coming up.
A meat and cheese party or something.
No, we're having we did the Super Bowl yesterday at Fire on the Mountain. So like our company party, we close down the shop for a deep cleaning, and then we have our company party the day after the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is the busiest day of the year for us.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how businesses have like they have a party, but before it you have to like
You have to
clean all
clean
the
the whole
bullshit.
shop.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna have a party, but first you're gonna clean up all the shit you did this year.
I also love that the service industry Christmas party is literally months after the holidays.
Well, and it's usually at another place where there's
Right.
there's service, so you're
Dude.
just like shitting on other service industry people.
No, but I love
it's
doing
a holiday
parties
party.
for other companies because you know they're gonna come in and tip the shit out of you. You
that's,
know what I mean?
that's true.
Like,
Everybody's gonna get kind of drunk and just start throwing you 20s.
oh, just throwing money at you.
Yeah.
Dude, I went to the Shotgun Willie's Christmas party once, and it
Wow.
was fucking bananas, dude.
Oh, really?
Because it was, well, no, because it was all the strippers, all the staff, and then all the like regulars that like all the people who like spend all their money at Shotgun Willie's, and then a bunch of male strippers. Just
Oh,
and dude,
curveball.
the type of strippers that strippers
Throwing it into the
hire,
system.
dude, the type of strippers that strippers hire are fucking aggressive,
High-end.
man.
Oh, they're like gonna hit you in the face
With their dick,
dick.
yeah. Like these girls are like, come on, give it to me, motherfucker. Like the way they blew off steam was having some beefcake just smash them in the face. with sweaty
dick.
balls.
Just literally throw dick at them.
Yeah, man. And it was fun, man. The food was good. I mean, it was all we could drink. It was great. It was a long time ago. I don't know if I would have as much fun now that I don't drink. And I'm not a big fan of strip clubs to begin with.
Yeah, me neither.
But
Was
like,
it at Shotguns or was
it was at Shotguns,
okay,
yeah.
I mean,
So you had these
You're
beefcake.
telling me the Shotguns holiday party is not bananas. They closed down the old one, opened a new one, and turned the old one into a dispensary.
Yeah. I'll bet it's even more
That's
bananas.
open till 4 a.m. or some shit like that.
I'll bet it's
Yeah.
less bananas now because they've got the
Maybe.
dispensary. And everybody's just like comatose from smoking fucking shatter and shit. You know what I mean?
The staff.
Dude, one time White Fudge did like a dab party. Like it was some dab company that like bought out the Oriental and had a big smoke out. And I was like unfamiliar with it. And we're up on stage doing a show, and there's just this haze over the crowd. And every time we would do a song, the crowd was like dead silent. And we're like, oh, they hate it. That's what's going on, is they hate it. And then we walk off stage, and all these people with bleeding eyes, just like sitting in chairs, like looking like drug addicts from Hollywood movies.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, just like all zoned out. They're like, dude, that show's amazing.
Oh my god.
You guys are great. Thanks for.
Am I gonna sweat this bad the whole time?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, you overdressed.
I know. Well, it's fucking cold out there.
It's cold out there. It's warm in here. It's okay, man. We can get naked.
Yeah.
You got a lot of hair. Hey, first of all, let me say, Jay, I'm really glad you're back on the show, dude.
Me too.
I'm really glad you're here.
Happy to be here.
You've been like the biggest supporter of the show, and since we started working together, and Max, you too, since we started working together on our new like little rebrand project, like you and I have been talking a lot, and we've been working really hard, and you've been one of the number one supporters of what we do, and I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like what you guys are doing. I think it's admirable to try to do something new and different, especially in the current music scene in Denver.
Well, you got to.
Yeah,
You know,
and I think
you have to diversify, man.
whether or not you feel like it's working all the time, I think it's working, and I think you will have something to show for it in the long run that you will be proud of.
It's a slow movement, after all.
Yeah,
That's the thing, though.
and I'm just happy to be a part of it. Honestly,
I had a slow movement this morning.
I had a really fast movement.
I was just waiting for
dude,
that one.
since I got a squatty potty, all my movements are fast.
Yeah.
Like, that thing will change your life.
My toilet
true, we
game
got
is
one.
strong these
You have a
days.
bidet now,
I have
too,
a
don't you?
bidet
Oh,
and a
damn, that's
squatty
tight.
potty, and like my Browns at home are like
Yeah, man.
a private special time.
You have like the same problems I do using the squatty potty because your like legs are real thick.
Yeah.
And you gotta like find a like interesting
You gotta stretch before you do 'em.
position to get in there.
Yeah.
And you gotta like ease them around, and then like your butt cheeks are too close together, so
Yeah,
you gotta
and-
fucking
And
finagle that
you're at
scenario.
such a comfortable position, you have to like angle right.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought that shit was just like a little gimmicky
No.
product, but that shit really works, man.
Yeah, man.
Science, dude.
Dude, it unkinks your butthole like my hemorrhoids have all but disappeared. Like, and granted, those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, I did go see Dr. Longscope, and that got that taken care
Is that
of.
his
But
real name?
I think it's actually Longcope,
No.
but because he's a proctologist, I called him Dr. Longscope.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was way cooler.
It is pretty good.
Yeah,
There's a Chewbacca beer.
but like,
Doing that.
dude, the squatty potty has
Yeah.
just made everything come out like one nice, long, unbroken
I swear
stream
by
of
it.
brown.
I swear by it. And the bidet.
Oh.
Ooh,
What's
we
what's
got
making
some
bad
fuzzy.
noise? Did I do it? Is it my? It's I touched something.
Huh?
This is how we're opening the
All right.
episode, huh?
It went away.
It's gone now.
Poop and technical difficulties.
It went away.
Well, the bidet, I've saved so much money on toilet paper. It's paid for itself.
I didn't even think of that.
Who did you use
Yeah.
for your bidet services?
Cheap and on Amazon. It was like $35. I
Excellent.
could have spent like 70 or 80 to get the like heated one, but I was like, whatever.
Hot water.
So it wakes you up in the morning. But
I think I'd rather have cold water on my butthole than hot water.
It depends on what time of day it is. If you're getting ready to go to bed, it depends on what time of bidet it is. If you're like getting ready to go to bed, let's go with take two. If you're getting ready to go to bed, I would say you'd want the warm one because it would relax you. But if you're getting up in the morning, I would say the cold stream, right?
Can I get
Icy burst right in there.
Yeah.
Can I get a warm water bidet with a little spritz of lavender?
I think you
After
can.
the morning coffee
Chamomile.
shit, then you go in, you get the icy burst.
Yeah, man.
I feel
Yeah.
that. I feel that.
So for those of you who are
Piece
listening,
of bubble gum at the end.
Yeah, icy burst.
gives you a lollipop like the dentist does.
I will
Yeah,
say,
ice
I will
cream.
say it has a little knob on it that you can like
Uh-huh.
turn up and down, and you have to start slow.
Yeah.
Like when you first get that thing, you're like, cool. Oh,
You gotta
and
start with a little.
You get lifted off of the motherfucker.
See, you were talking about that, and that part actually scared me a little bit. I was like worried about like the abrasive nature of a jet stream in my asshole.
Oh, so
like,
we've gone over this on here before, huh?
like have you ever used a power washer before?
Yeah.
Like that stream will cut your skin. You know what I mean? So I just started imagining this like high
Yeah,
pressure
It's
spray.
not for cleaning your butthole, Aaron. If you're letting somebody clean your butthole with a power washer, you're doing it wrong.
No, I'm just saying, like, that was what I was thinking about as far as, like, a spray. It's like, if it's too low pressure, it's not going to clean anything off. Like, I have a shower with one of those wands in it, and I'll, like, take it down to the burst, and sometimes
water
I'll...
shower.
Yeah, sometimes I will take the right off the toilet shower, save toilet paper, you know, and just...
A schlower.
Yeah, a shower.
Yeah.
A shower power.
Do
dude.
that every morning.
And I'll like blast out the stuff that's in there, and it takes a fair amount of pressure to release the stuff that's like caked on there. So I'm like trying to imagine like when they were testing this product, when they were beta testing the bidet, when they're bidet testing it.
Bidet test.
Bidet testing. When you're bidet testing,
There's a Star Trek joke. in
How
there
many
somewhere,
bidet
too.
jokes are we gonna make this episode?
hey, these are the warm-up jokes, man. It's getting everybody comfortable. You start with poop, and then you move into the socio-political stuff
It
and
depends-
art
it
and
depends on who
philosophy.
you have in here. We had in the company of serpents.
Oh,
Grant.
yeah, we
Grant
had
Netzord.
Grant from
And
Netzord, yeah.
and
I love Grant.
I was just lost the whole time. He was talking about some deep
Grant's.
shit.
I started listening to that one, and even I was a little like, whoa.
He's hard to keep up with, dude.
Yeah, Grant's.
Oh man.
I saw him last time I saw him.
There's
He was
a lot
playing
of depth
D&D
there.
at True, and like.
Oh, he was talking about that on the show. He was talking about how he's gonna start playing.
Yeah. I saw him playing down there with Gordon from Call of the Void and a couple other dudes, and like, yeah, he can talk, and both of us had to be like, all right, dude.
He's
You're
a
leaving, I'm
well-read
going
dude,
over
man.
here.
It was very interesting, and
Yeah.
it's not like I zoned out and didn't pay attention,
Yeah.
but I was just like, wow, I just have things to learn, and I
There's
have
there's a deep well of depth.
The well is deep.
There's a deep well of
There it is. The deep well.
The deep well is deep.
I'm gonna not talk
Deep
now.
calls to deep. So I listened to the episode on Christmas Eve, and I think when we were actually recording it, I felt a little more out of my element. But then listening to it after the fact, I was like, oh no, that was a nice conversation. He just was introducing a ton of information that was unfamiliar to me. And so, like, a lot of the anxiety I was experiencing during the actual episode was just like the process of integrating new information into my consciousness.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
It was intense.
But that's how a good conversation should be.
Yeah. Well, but you mentioned earlier before we went down the bidet rabbit hole. Before we went down the hole with the bidet.
That old
You were talking about, like, even if you feel like it's not working. And I think that, like, when I look back on, like, things that we've accomplished in the last year or 5 years or 10 years, it's easy to look at it in the big picture and go, oh, wow, that was a lot of stuff that happened in that period of time.
Yeah.
But when it was going on, it felt like failure after failure after failure.
Yeah, and it moves so quickly.
Yeah, and this stuff takes time to aggregate. It takes time to compound and to grow, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And I just am very impatient in general. And
Which is easy to do in the internet fucking sphere
Right.
that we live in now, where it's like so much instant gratification and so much like, just like everything's like now and gone and now and gone and now and gone, and it's like people trying to get famous off of moments, but it's not like people are trying to get that like one yes that gets them that like 5 minutes of fame, but I don't think that's the best way to be like long term.
Right.
Like do stuff. I haven't smoked today, so I'm a little.
Hey,
slow
speaking
moving.
of which, we smoked that joint.
Yeah, we can
I think
smoke
that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it's like, yes, I definitely have a lot of times where I feel like I'm failing, and I am. I'm failing more than I'm succeeding. But it's like if you're flying a plane, you're off course more than you're on course. You
Yeah,
know what I
well,
mean?
and like you can't succeed without a whole bunch of failure.
Right. Well,
you,
and
you don't get any like the more shots you take, the higher percentage that you can make shots, but also the higher percentage of shots you're gonna miss.
did Michael Scott say that? Is that who that was?
Fucking probably. I don't have my world's best boss coffee mug. But
I got that at Spencer Gifts. I brought my Rad Dad mug to work, and people were making that joke at me. They're like, "Did you get that for yourself?" I'm like, "No, my baby's mom got it for me." It's the world's best boss coffee mug. I got it at
which is
Spencer
what
Gifts.
you got for your first Father's Day, and you got her like an espresso machine for Mother's Day.
No. She bought us both cups.
Oh,
It
that's
was like because we were drinking a lot of coffee. I think more coffee than we expected that we were going to drink. Because you're up every day at 5:30, 6 o'clock, which I like, and I get most of my work done during that time. Ransom and I sit down and we play and we make music and stuff. And then when he's kind of doing his own thing, I sneak away for a minute and write something or return some emails or get myself fucking enraged by reading what I see on the internet because people
just
are
don't
gross.
read the internet. I'm
I
glad.
do.
I'm glad. I started listening to is it Jason or Justin Lascelles from Axlash?
Justin Lascelles.
Justin. I started listening to that episode yesterday, and I was happy to hear that you deleted your Facebook.
Well, it's back on because I have to use it. But I'm trying to. So what I've started doing, and this actually kind of ties into one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about. I have started aggressively unfollowing people.
Good.
I have a few criteria. First of all, if you are nasty or a troll in any way, I just unfollow you right out the gate. I unfollow ideologues. I unfollow anyone who uses
wackos.
Yeah, I unfollow wackos.
Define nasty. That's like a grandma term to describe somebody. So.
Like, talking
like
shit
Hillary
is
Clinton.
funny. I am into talking shit, but the people who do it with the express purpose of like fucking hurting someone's feelings, like I am no longer going to pretend that I'm a tough guy and that
If it's beyond playful chiding.
yeah, if it's beyond playful chiding, if it's someone who is like deliberately trying to like gang up and fucking do harm to somebody, I unfollow them. Like I unfollow. I also unfollow anyone who uses the term sports ball. Like I think that is one of the most childish things that you can like.
Well, it's just the same level of disrespect that you probably have for other people.
What it
Hey,
is.
by the way, way to go, chefs.
Yeah, way to go,
Go
chefs.
Chefs.
Yeah, man. Division rivals or not, like I was very happy with the outcome of that Super Bowl. It was fun, but we'll get into that more. We'll talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. But
You don't have to.
one of the things that I had a conversation with our buddy Joaquin, who's the president of our Turbo Jugend chapter. We had well,
I'm a member of.
I know you are. I know. I said the Royal Hour.
Okay, you pointed at Logan.
No, I did this.
Just talking.
The pinky and the thumb were both involved. The pinky and the thumb were both involved.
Boomeranged it.
But we were talking about one of the things that he's doing is he's very on this like don't yuck my yum kick. So that's another group of people that I unfollow. The yum yuckers.
The purposefully negative people.
The
who are trying to
people who
knock
are-
you off your horse.
Right, the
For
people
no
who-
other reason than
the-
to make themselves.
Then
feel
get
better.
reach.
That'd
Then
be
get
a-
reach.
That'd be a good.
The bullied
kinda,
bullies.
Like grimy punk rock band name.
The yum yuckers.
Yum Yuckers.
Yeah.
Gordy
The
will
mellow
front it.
harshers.
Gordy will front it, and they won't be allowed anywhere. Not our Gordy, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well-
I know what you're talking about.
Punk forever punk or
No,
whatever.
the
Punk whatever.
the whole thing behind it, like, I was resistant to doing that for a while because the point that Tony always brought up is he's like, I want to see all the different points of view I can. He's like, I want to hear different perspectives. And I went, and finally I had to come to this point where I'm like, I can get that from news articles. I can get that from podcasts. I can go seek it out on my own terms. But if I'm just scrolling through a feed, if you're only going to get so much information, I don't want any of the information coming from my feed to just be haters and shit talkers.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not interested in it. I think it misrepresents the real discourse that is going on in the world.
For sure.
I think the real discourse that is going on, especially on hot button topics, I think most of the useful conversation is happening in podcasts. It's happening on YouTube to a degree, which will probably change soon because YouTube Premium and all the other stuff that they're rolling out.
Oh yeah, they're red flagging all that shit. Huh?
For sure.
Yeah, they're starting.
Somebody will make a new venue for it.
Yeah.
Though. Like,
Oh, yeah,
If
some
it
new
needs to
platform.
be there, it'll happen.
There's a
which
demand
is-
for it.
Which is good news. And just like you said on that episode, is like, I believe in people.
Well, if I find myself starting to dislike someone because of their consistent behavior on social media,
Yeah.
if I am starting to find myself disliking someone that I otherwise like,
Mhm.
it's like, I don't want to engage with your internet persona. Period.
I don't engage, but I also like to see how far down that crazy rabbit hole people will go. You know,
I
don't
get sucked into
engage
that.
with it, but like there are some people that I'm still friends with because I'm like,
You
dude,
just like
this
to
guy
read it.
posts the fucking wackiest, dumbest shit,
Yeah.
and I gotta see what he's gonna.
It's
do
like a
with
car
it.
crash.
Yeah,
You gotta go through their feed sometimes
and
Yeah.
watch. Like you just see it, and you're like,
A lot of the
and
times.
sometimes I've tried to like engage with them, and I get to the end of it, and I'm like,
That was a waste of my time.
never mind, never mind.
Well,
Just
that's the
delete
thing.
it before you even post it.
Is what ends up happening is people occupy my. I'm good for now. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm
People.
gonna kill it.
All right, cool. People end up occupying my mind during other parts of my day.
Yeah, man.
I'm sitting with my kid,
Yeah.
and I'm having an imaginary fight with some idiot I barely know on the internet.
Well, and you're weighing in on a thing that, like you can obviously tell you're not going to change this person's mind.
Right.
What's the point in engaging it?
Right. And if you get into the argument, if you engage...
Well, and they're probably just posting it for attention.
Right.
They just need some attention.
They're thirsty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
parasocial relationships, is that what Justin called them?
there was there's a...
I'm still listening.
Well, and the people, what people post is not necessarily an indication of what their true values are.
For sure.
You know, you can have someone who is posting about a certain cause and then living like a total hypocrite offline. You know what I mean? People can be whoever they want. And I just...
Yeah, it's like a giant game of the fucking Sims.
Even if to a degree I'm putting my head in the sand, which one could arguably make the case for that, I don't want my time outside of that interaction or outside of that moment to be occupied by that fight or that stress.
Well, and I think that's something that I know me and Max have talked about before, is like as we get older, it's less about the quantity of time you spend doing things and the quality.
Especially when you got kids, man.
Time. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you got kids.
But I mean, even rolling into my 30s, I was starting to feel that. And I know you're right there right now, and it's like, it's just like, would you rather spend the time that's like, now you're cresting the hill and you're like, oh, like this time's getting shorter and shorter. Like, would I rather spend it doing the things I give a shit about, or just engaging bullshit that I have no fucking use for?
It's also not worth, like, I don't know, I always get bummed out on other people's negativity that, like, ends up bringing me down, where I'm like...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it sucks to be like, oh man, I was having a great day, and then I somehow got in this mental argument with somebody, and now I'm just kind of, like, frustrated and pissed, and every little fucking thing the rest of the day, I'm like... throws me off.
It's like you go there for a dopamine hit, and then it just crushes your shit.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
You know?
There was
okay, like great.
There was a
feel like
time
shit.
a few years ago where I used that as like a mental workout, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna go fucking like throw a couple punches with people, but it's no longer a reasonable discussion with most people.
Right.
It's just like name calling and bullshit.
Well, the only people who are going to engage with you are going to be unreasonable people. Or most, let me put it this way. The people who are going to engage for any amount of time are going to be the people with the least to lose, with the least to do, and the most to say. You know, not even the most to say.
And
the greatest quantity of
unwavering opinions that are like probably the least helpful.
Right. Yeah. I guess I also, like, at the time, I got locked into the thing that I think a lot of us get locked in, that all of us who engage in that get involved in, which is just the gravity of your own opinion. It's like, man, I've got an opinion that could really help people. You know, I should be out there participating in the conversation, really trying to make a difference. And it's like, look,
you watch too many episodes of West Wing or whatever.
Well, and
think you're gonna fucking save the world as a politician. You're not Barack Obama. Shut the fuck up and go back to bed.
There are billions of opinions out there. Literally billions of opinions.
Opinions are like assholes.
Everybody's got one.
They all stink.
And the other thing is the other thing with the asshole comparison is they're not that unique.
No.
You know, your asshole is not a snowflake, even though it's kind of shaped like a snowflake. You know, it's there is you can have your conversation with the people in your immediate sphere of reach, one-on-one. That's what I love about doing. One of the things I love about doing on this show is I can sit down and have a conversation with people face to face. I can satisfy that urge to have that conversation with someone, but I'm not sitting there, not even engaging, not even commenting, but just reading something someone says and then spending the entire day making my case in my head.
Well, and it just takes up all your energy.
Right.
There's so many better things to be spending time on.
Right.
You want to sit down and be productive, and you're like, oh, I have this whole plan for today. I want to sit down and like draw these 4 T-shirt graphics or something. And then you're like, I can't stop thinking about this dickhole on Facebook.
I
It
know,
sucks. Like,
right?
Yeah, the last fight I got in was when I lived in your apartment now,
Yep.
because Max lives in my old house. And it was like, it was an argument over how many of Danzig's records were good. And I spent like 4 fucking hours with this dude
Which ones did
being
you
like,
say?
1 and 2, fuck that. That's it. That's all.
That's it.
And he was like, dude, 1 through fucking 5. And I was like, no. Nope. No.
Yeah.
And we got in like a really stupid argument. And then I was like, why?
What was the purpose of that?
I don't fucking care. I'll just listen to the 2 I like, and you can think whatever you
And
want.
then you couldn't even enjoy those 2 for the whole day.
No.
Well,
Exactly.
especially anyone who is going to make any sort of value judgment about arts or entertainment, which are a total subjective experience.
Yeah, it's okay to dig what you dig and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Anybody that you're going to get into that with, they are doing it for the sole purpose of saying, I have something that I want people to know about me through knowing what I dislike. You know, it's the thing, the whole, I'm just going to say it, the Beatles are overrated. Like, that thing has become a meme. Like, that has become
And like, I
an
totally used to
archetype.
be that guy, and now
Same
I'm
here.
just like,
But it
I don't care.
enrages you, Aaron.
Yeah.
It enrages you.
I used to be that guy, though. And I used to like getting into those arguments. And I guess the big change is I'm just like, I don't have the energy because it's just going to be another fight tomorrow. You
But
know what I mean?
the Buttles
The
are the
Buttles.
Beatles better than Danzig?
I mean,
I would say they have more good records.
I have successfully completely
They-
derailed this conversation.
Thank you. We probably needed
they
that.
think
they have-
Gordo, that's exactly what you need to continue doing, because me and him.
they have a
you know,
greater body of work.
They can sing a lot better than Danzig.
Well, I'm
Ringo can
personally,
sing
I'm
better than Danzig.
I'm a fan of the work that they did together.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
fan of the work they
I
did
love the
individually.
collaboration they did.
Hell yeah.
I think it was back in 63. Yeah.
Oh, Danzig and the Beatles?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
actually talking.
Because Danzig's a werewolf.
I was actually talking last night when we were watching the Super Bowl halftime show at work about, have you seen that
Shakira's
mashup
butt.
somebody did
Yes.
with
And
who is-
I
who
was
is-
talking about the same shit.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
So, wait. So you're gonna have,
I
you're gonna
sent
have
that-
to
that
clue me
video
in.
meme
Who
to
did
like
that?
10
Who was
people
on
today.
the halftime
Gosh.
report?
Shakira and Jay.
I-
Shakira and J-Lo.
Do we have any way?
Shakira featuring J-Lo?
Oh, it was.
No,
They're
J-Lo.
both the same age now, I think.
J-Lo headlined over Shakira.
J-Lo has
Oh.
enough money
Well,
now
see
that
right
she's
there, they
the same
fucked
age
up
now.
already.
Well, it's the thing. It's the thing that they do with the Super Bowl halftime show where it's a lot of, and then this person, and then this person. And
Yeah, but nobody's ever gonna fucking steal the show from Left Shark because that's the best guy ever. Like, sorry,
Who? Left Shark.
the background dancer for when Katy Perry did the halftime show.
I don't think
who
I
just-
saw it.
That guy looked
Oh,
like
I know.
He
I
didn't
know what
learn
you're talking
any of
about.
the steps, and he was just randomly dancing behind her.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Renee Cordero did a tattoo of it, and it made like fucking international
yeah.
news.
It was
Was it
all
Yeah,
Matt
yeah.
Shark on TV because of that?
Yeah, he did it on Maddie from High Dive, Maddie Shark.
Oh,
And
that's what that was.
Yeah.
I missed it.
He got that tattoo like 2 days later.
Like
or
the
something.
next day, yeah.
And the world was like, and a guy already has the tattoo. And it's like,
How crazy
Going now to Denver, Colorado.
Like, okay, so on that
With
on
Dick
that
Cheese
topic,
Grater.
on that topic. So and related to what we were talking about people and their fucking opinions.
Yeah.
I'm at work. I'm spending most of the day selling chicken wings.
Yeah.
Most of my entire day is selling
Sure.
chicken wings. I'm like barely catching a play or two here. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of our top sales days of the year. We don't even do dine-in business. We only do call-ins, and we're like giving people time slots. And you know, we murdered thousands of chickens yesterday, right?
personally?
Yeah, personally, we
Just for
kill our
their
own
wings.
chickens in the backyard, dude. And so it's this whole operation. Like, it's
Just for their arms
it's
and legs.
really amazing stuff. Like how much wings,
No
how many-
titties. No chicken titties going out.
how
Those
much
titties
chickens
go
people
somewhere.
buy. So, you know, I'm seeing the game here and there. I'm like watching the score kind of go back and forth. I'm like, man, this is a good Super Bowl. Like, this is cool. And it's like, hey, man, look, the plays at the end of the game were really exciting. And the Super Bowl halftime show, I didn't even have the audio on, and I was like, fucking J-Lo and fucking Shakira, and the girls are sitting at the bar watching, and they're having a great time
Mhm.
just watching J-Lo and Shakira, right? And
It was
that
pretty cool.
that isolated
Cool performance.
that isolated vacuum of experience. We're having a good time. We're seeing all this stuff. That was a totally enjoyable thing. Go home, go to sleep. Next day I get up, and just the internet is a cesspool of just people arguing about the fucking game and arguing about supporting division rivals.
I engaged a Shakira and fucking J-Lo discussion this morning on Instagram.
People getting on
Immediately
soapboxes.
regretted it.
Yeah, people getting soapboxes about what is family-friendly entertainment and what the Super Bowl halftime show used to be, and
why are we sexualizing women?
gross
Nobody's saying
and-
anything about
fucking
Adam
time.
Levine.
and
fucking-
lip syncing and fucking.
And there was a big thing about the Puerto Rican flag. Like they put up the Puerto Rican flag before they put up the American flag.
You know what I mean?
Fuck.
See,
That right there.
Xenophobic nationalist weirdos.
But that's the
most
thing.
of the people that
Fuck
bitch
your
about it
flag.
are the same person that voted, or the same people that voted for the pussy grabber. They're like,
Yeah,
why
well,
are
and
you
they also
sexualizing this?
they
And it's
also
like, you
complain.
voted for the pussy grabber.
They
dude.
complain about everything having to do with the flag. They haven't read any of the actual fucking national rules where it says you're never supposed to display the flag on any article of clothing. You're never supposed to wear any article of clothing that is printed like the flag.
This
because
is the
it's
thing, though.
severely disrespectful, and they fucking dick grab the Constitution all day. Mind you, I have no problem with most of the Constitution, but shut the fuck up or read it
That's
and
the
know what
thing.
you're talking about.
And none
It's
of this
not-
would have happened if the Dandles would have played the halftime report.
But that's the thing, is it's not
Please
any.
keep calling it the halftime report.
It's not any.
Is that not what it is? What is it called?
This week on the halftime report.
Shakira shakes her ass. That's
Up
the
next,
thing. There's
J-Lo
not
shakes her ass.
there's not any more or less of the people who are doing that on 1,000 other subjects. There's just a platform which generates its revenue from advertising dollars from people being glued to that thing. So whatever is getting the most attention is going to shoot straight to the top. So your whole feed just gets completely full of these people screaming about whatever happened that day.
We're living
And
in a dystopian Rutger Hauer movie.
But we're not. The illusion of it is happening. That isolated event
We're
of
living in
me,
the Running Man.
Which
me
one?
and my like
Hell yeah.
20 right, blind
But we're,
justice.
but we're
Sub-Zero
none
all
of the
the way.
cool characters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You guys ever seen Blind Justice, the one that Rutger Hauer was in?
No.
It was the one where he was the blind samurai guy.
Oh,
The
okay.
blind
I
ninja?
heard about this one.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Dude, Rutger Hauer did everything.
Yeah.
He did every movie. Like, people would just show up to his house and, like, not even give him that much money. They'd give him a
It'd
few
be like,
bucks.
hey, do you want to do this weird movie? And he'd be like, yeah,
Yep,
why not?
I do.
I mean, Hobo with a Shotgun is one of the
That was cool.
they
That
made
movie,
that
yeah.
movie based on the trailer from the fucking Grindhouse double feature.
Right. Yeah.
They made a fake trailer for the movie, and then somebody was like, bankroll that shit and
That's
get
how-
Rutger Hauer.
That's how Machete happened also.
Yeah, Machete was one of them too.
Yeah. No, I remember the machete thing. I didn't know Hobo with a Shotgun was, too.
Yeah.
That's really
And
cool.
those trailers were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
Those are
Those
two of my
movies
favorite
were awesome.
movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
they're great.
releases.
I love that shit.
For
Those
sure.
Grindhouse movies
And
were
it's just
awesome.
over the top for being over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun night at the movies right there. Well, that's
Speaking of which, you ever seen Over the Top?
You ever seen Over? You know, it's a great movie.
Really-
Over the
A
Top.
really engaging Stallone action film about arm wrestling.
Yeah. Man, I remember seeing that and thinking it was a good movie.
Sammy Gaydar did the soundtrack.
Did he
song.
really?
Yeah.
Did he really?
Nice.
Over the Top.
I'm trying to think of who wrote the fucking Ninja Turtles theme song now.
Vanilla Ice.
Winner Takes It All, I believe, is
No.
the name of
Yeah,
this.
it's
It's
like-
Sammy Gaydar song.
Vanilla Ice.
They
Dude.
Or the
Vanilla-
song Teenage Mutant Ninja
the
Turtles.
show,
Yeah.
yeah, that one.
Oh, the Teenage Mutant
Because
Ninja
it's
Turtle.
it's,
Oh,
a,
yeah.
it's an actual. He's like famous for much more interesting things.
Do you
than-
know?
Yeah, I watched the shows that made us.
The Toys That Made
Us?
Yeah. Like
Ah,
the history of the teenage.
Remind me, and I'll try to bring you the Turtle Power documentary that I just got off
Oh,
Amazon.
yeah,
It's fucking.
okay.
It's
That's
like
pretty cool.
But yeah, he
everything.
was talking about how he wrote that theme song, and he was like, I have to give a background story for him in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say what
Yeah,
this
fuck,
is.
who was that?
I'm trying to think. He's like a famous director now, or something like that. Like he does something big and important in Hollywood where they put them up on screen, and I was like, oh shit, okay, that's interesting.
Gordo, are you looking it up?
I'm looking up so much shit right now. You have no idea.
Well, and then I didn't realize which the Turtle Power documentary taught me, and I'm sorry we're derailing again.
I don't give a shit.
But Golden Harvest, the kung fu movie chain, put those movies out, which is like the king of 80s bad kung fu.
Well, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies were presented more like classic kung fu movies.
Yeah, well, that's because they were made in a classic kung fu movie
Right.
studio. They were made by Golden Harvest.
I had no idea.
Which
That's
is
really
like
cool.
that's the I have that Spaz shirt that says Golden Harvest Hardcore on it because they're super into kung fu movies.
Right,
and
that's like
the
their jam.
production studio.
That was a good
makes
move
all
on
that
their
stuff.
part. Like those movies aren't great.
Yeah.
by any means,
Kids
but,
loved them.
Getting
Dude,
kung fu
if you want
specialists to
to
make
really
those
go
movies.
engage with the fucking annals of the internet and people's stupid fucking opinions, tell people you like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies.
Oh my god.
Dude,
But
the
you-
second
people-
one, the first one I thought was weird, but the second one was super awesome.
People want to peel back my head and shit into my body because I like both of them. I think they're cool. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has never been a solid storyline. It's always bounced around. Like everything has been a reimagining.
Well,
Yeah, it's been
And it's
it's
the,
been
like-
done over and done and over and done.
Yeah.
by- Oh shit! No way, we have this capability.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's gonna have to add it back in post, but we can do it.
Oh, we can hear you.
Meet me halfway across the sky.
What is this?
It's Kenny Loggins.
Oh, okay. What is this from?
Over the top. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes, guys.
This is from Over the Top. Is this a romantic scene?
Yeah.
What scene is that?
It's terrible.
It's where they reach across the table and walk hands, and instead of fighting, they just French kiss each other.
No, that's the that's the
The
Sydney
alternate
Gaydar
ending.
song.
I'm gonna get an email from YouTube
Two
tomorrow.
big truck drivers.
They're gonna be
kissing
like,
over
you
their
use
muscles."
licensed material. Dude, it's so weird, like
Yeah,
how
we
on top
have
of
so
the
many eyes on us
Yeah.
on this show.
Dude, that's the thing though, is like YouTube, whatever they're doing, they can, like, if you've got a song on the radio in the background, you'll get an email
They have
from
like
YouTube
the
that is like,
Shazam
hey,
technology.
just so you know, you were listening to something on your show, and it's not gonna take your video down, but you might get demonetized, just so you know.
Dude, did you
crazy.
see Justin Bieber's ad that he put out that was like, put my song on while you're sleeping. Turn the volume all the way down and put it on repeat so I can get to #1 on Spotify. Did you see that shit?
No, that's a-
No, I
It was
missed all
pretty-
the
It
ads.
was pretty brazen,
He just bought the
gaming
money.
the system algorithm shit I've ever seen in my life.
No.
Tell me about it. I don't know.
But
about it.
I know
even-
about a famous punk rock record label that has a room full of old cell phones plugged in, charging, streaming their releases.
Dude,
and
Levi
getting
from 1332
Yep.
told us to do that. He's
Yep.
like, you should get everybody in your band
to get an
to
extra
stream
phone and
your
stream
stuff
it.
on every device you can, all day, every day.
I
He,
just
like,
read a
showed me
story
the
about
report.
a dude
Farming.
with, a dude with a wagon full of 99 phones, and he made it look like there was a
yeah.
traffic jam.
Yeah.
He had
Because he
99
just
phones.
rolled it down an empty street, and
Yeah,
he
man.
made it look like there was a traffic jam.
Dude, a big part of our data.
Oh, I love it.
if you look at our Spotify data, the Drunken Fry in Oklahoma City directly affects our numbers.
Does it?
Like we get like a fair percentage of our overall streams
Oh.
comes from bartenders at various bars in Oklahoma
Well,
City.
they'll put them on when they're bartending, but
Right.
also I've heard from other people, they just leave it on at night.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll just like pick a band and loop it.
Yeah,
Just let it roll.
Yeah.
that's really funny that fucking Justin Bieber just was like, my fans will do whatever I
Oh,
ask
that's
them
what
to
I
do.
was gonna say. I looked up Justin Bieber on the internet this week as well, except I was just looking for videos of him slamming on his skateboard.
Well, what's hilarious is that the ad actually has instructions at the bottom for if you use a VPN, how to it's like turn off VPN on your phone so you can make sure the streams are coming from America. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? This is really detailed information on how to game the system and game your numbers.
Wow.
Get your number one single, you little prick.
Dude,
I hope he gets
what
hit
a
by a car.
fascinating
No, I don't.
time to be alive,
I don't,
man.
but
Because what we're seeing now is we're seeing like the system going into chaos before it reorganizes, like before it hits the bifurcation point
I mean,
and it all falls apart.
we're watching the simulation build itself
Yeah.
from inside of it.
Oh, dude! Dude!
What are
Hey.
we talking about in the car? It's turtles all the way down, right?
Hey, man.
Yeah. From talking about the
I want to introduce Max. I want to introduce Max. I want people who don't know who Max is, because people who follow the show know who you are.
Talk much.
No,
I don't either.
I want to create that opportunity for him to talk, man.
Hey,
So
Max. How's
so-
it going, buddy?
Max is probably my favorite artist in Denver right now.
fantastic artist. If you've been to the Pie Hole in Denver, you've definitely seen his work. He did the big pizza beach party volleyball tournament. There's the piece
Right
of
on, man.
pizza
I didn't
with
know that
rockin'
was you.
tits.
Yeah.
Awesome.
With
There's a
Sam
pizza
Pearson,
with-
right?
Yeah, that was with Sam Pearson. That was like the first big
Collaborative.
big piece I did, and it was super fun.
That thing's been up there for fucking ever, dude.
I
It's
know.
really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
It is awesome.
Well, thank you.
And then for people who follow the band, you did our shirt, which is the van being chased. Like you did exactly what I asked you to do, which was, okay, just do the van being chased by a robot, a dinosaur, and a necromancer.
Yeah.
And then I get the art like 2 days later, and it's like spot on perfect. So like if you have
That's
that,
that's one of those requests you get.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get projects where you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is awesome.
It's like
This
it's like a Freddy Krueger Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
Sometimes
one.
somebody
And now,
sends somebody in.
what you're doing for us is you're helping Jay, right? Like
Yeah, that's
Jay is drawing all the new logos, and he did the logo for the podcast.
Max is
and-
my on-call design guy for all the stuff that I forgot how to do since I got out of college.
Right. So tell me a little bit about how that process is looking. And you guys won't be able to see this on the auditory version, but we will post pictures of all this stuff. But if you're watching the stream right now, you can see some of the stuff that Jay has been designing, some of the stuff he's been drawing. And
And a lot of this stuff is turning into merch and
yeah, it's turning into merch or like going on to record stuff or just being used for our general branding materials. Like I went
You
over
have
to
get
get.
up there in the camera. It's just a big piece of white right here.
Oh,
So,
is it?
Yeah, you
Oh,
just
Here,
gotta
I'll
click-
pass stuff to
yeah.
Logan, and as we're passing stuff to Logan, we'll talk about it.
how's that look?
So, like,
Perfect.
is that better? So,
Those wacky.
so I went to go get tattooed by Jay. He did my tribute.
Leave it
some-
still, and I'll zoom in on it here.
See, there you go.
Shit,
He's
we
got
have that
technology.
capability?
Oh, dude, this fucking Mevo I got, like, I've been seeing it show up on all sorts of other people's feeds. Ben Kronberg just did a Mevo episode with Matt Kobos, friend of the show, and so like a lot of people are starting to use these things just because they're really super user friendly and whatnot. Anyway, so I went and got tattooed by Jay, and we got to talking, and he proposed the idea of doing, what did you call it? A new identity package for us.
A brand, yeah.
Yeah, new branding stuff.
rebranding and do a new identity.
Because
package.
we're doing the comic stuff, and you really wanted to make stuff that kind of fit with the direction of doing a graphic novel and a lot more like
I had an idea in my head about things that I thought would work, and I think it fits with where I feel like my personal style is at the moment.
Right.
And like that's
So
an
it's a good
ever-evolving
marriage.
scenario, but I feel like right now is a good time for me to give you guys some stuff that will work for what you're doing.
right.
You know.
And it's fun and like
And I don't expect you to stay with me forever. And
No, but I
be
love
together.
what we're doing together. I
You're
love
gonna
what we're
you're gonna
doing
need
together.
something else at some point.
I feel like David Letterman or
doing the top 10 list or
And
Jay
Max-
Leno.
I get
And Max has really
visual
been
props.
like an advisory
So
for me
so
to
yeah.
run questions by, and we haven't done much physically together. It's more me texting him at odd times, being like, how do I save this file type for fucking what Aaron needs?
So yeah, tell us
Is
what
this
you've been doing.
stupid?
Tell us what you've been doing to help him out, Max.
Well,
Texting.
currently, yeah, mostly texting right now. Jay's been handling most of it on his own, but yeah, I'm just kind of there right now as kind of backup. I do a lot of shit like that in my day-to-day kind of work life anyway. So
Rendering stuff, like
Max does a lot of free.
taking stuff that people draw and making it into digital content, like a lot of the rendering and graphic design kind of side of it.
doing, just web banner layout stuff.
You've been doing mostly freelance stuff since you lost that last job, right?
2017, I think.
And
You're like full on freelancing
you were
right now?
just like, fuck it, I'm gonna see how the summer goes and see if I can make money freelancing.
And all
And it
this-
was
all the stuff I see like hanging up at Tui's or like even the bathroom at Tui's still, I'm just like, this shit is dope.
Oh yeah,
Just
Max
thanks,
did,
dude.
did like the whole Tui's fucking.
walking into
Yeah.
a little goblin witch lair. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, it's super fun stuff.
I wish my bathroom looked like
You did
this.
the
Yeah.
entrance there. You did the hallways, right? And
The-
bathrooms?
just the bathroom, the men's bathroom, and the entryway.
Yeah, the like flaming
Yeah.
entry.
You guys have very complimentary work too, which I think
Yeah.
is really cool. And then I also feel like your individual work and the work you're doing together is very complementary to kind of the way, like, our sensibilities as a band and kind of. I've mentioned before, one of the things that we have a lot of trouble, that we've had trouble with over the years, is coming up with like a concrete brand. And I know to some people that like just makes them cringe when you think about branding and art in the same context. But
Well,
in order for people to discover your
a
stuff,
lot of
you
those
have
people just don't
Yeah.
call the thing they're already doing branding.
Right.
And it's just like we're just using the word that like the rest of
The term
Culture
branding
uses
has like
it.
a very like, I guess, kind of corporate
Right.
feel to
Well,
it.
if
People
it-
are like,
it's
"Ooh,
related.
optics."
It's related to advertising, and
Yeah. And
advertising
synergy.
is evil.
but it's,
like synergy and optics are both good things, but or like mission statement or
Mhm.
or
Yeah, yeah.
corporate values, like those are all ideas that I think any organization needs.
yeah.
Band or corporate organization, it's just many people are turned off by those terms because they represent like being a corporate sellout or a shill or whatever. But
But having a cohesive brand is nice too, because people are like, "Oh, that shirt looks like the record, which looks like the hat, and the other thing that I know
Right.
that
It's
this band
it's
is."
what Coca-Cola does.
yeah,
You know who they are.
right.
It's what John Deere does.
Well,
That's
that's
what big companies do to make their stuff memorable.
right.
It's what I do with my business cards.
Right.
It's what you can do it in little ways.
When I saw your work, when I saw Max's work,
Hmm.
it spoke to me. It wouldn't necessarily speak to.
You were probably on drugs though.
At that time, I wasn't. I would like your stuff. I was like, that's really cool. That's really neat. That's something that I'm really into. But some,
Thanks.
folk alt rock artist isn't going to see your stuff and go, he's going to go, oh, I get, that's good art, I suppose, but that's
Yeah.
not really something I'm
Yeah.
into. It is very useful to be able to look at stuff and go, that matches with how I feel about my art.
Yeah.
Let's get together and
And it's funny because it's something I've stressed about for a long time. Is because I'm mainly in like the
Finding your
scenes I'm
voice
in,
or whatever it
I
is?
mean, well, no, like because my voice just is what it is, and I function pretty heavily in the rock and roll, punk rock, heavy metal like sphere. I've often throughout the years felt like my work is too clean for most bands, and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna be able to do anything cool.
too clean for most bands. What do you
Well,
mean?
yeah, like I like black metal. I'm not gonna do a black metal shirt. Black metal bands don't want fucking
Right.
Dayglow colors and fucking
Yeah.
cartoony fucking R. Crumb, Ed Roth,
Dude,
Rat
your,
Fink monsters.
your
and
stuff
shit.
almost looks like
But that's what I like to draw.
flash art from an alternate universe, from like a surreal cartoon universe.
Yeah.
Like if you looked, if there was an episode of Invader Zim
Mhm.
or Ren and Stimpy or something like that, and they
That's one of my
stumbled
favorites.
into a tattoo shop
Mhm.
and saw some crazy tattoo guys flash art up on the wall, that's
Yeah.
like your stuff.
Yeah.
It's
The
like
appreciate
Party
it's-
Lord is a Ren and Stimpy character. It's perfect.
the Partylord would be a great Ren and Stimpy
Yeah,
character.
That's
be
one
awesome.
of my
Like,
all-time
oh no,
favorite TV
Stimpy,
shows.
the Partylord is coming over tonight. Or like they throw a party and they don't get enough balloons, and the Partylord shows up to punish them, to smite them. It's like, you have not enough balloons at this party. Forgive me, Partylord.
There's a whole flash sheet of Ren and Stimpy designs in that set I just got, Logan.
Oh no.
Oh, you have to check out Max. I did the creature on Max.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know you got
the
that.
Leo
That,
creature.
that was the one that stuck out. I was like,
It's flash.
I mean,
you
they're
can
all-
come get it too.
they're all dope, but well, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying like out of all that shit, I was like,
There's a Ren and Stimpy sheet, and there's a fucking a Mr. Horse that with an upside down horseshoe that says no sir.
No, sir, I don't like it.
Oh my god, it's like my favorite.
That's
Is
really
there,
cool.
Is
There's
there a
powder toast, man.
Cheese
It's-
Fist. Cheese Fist is one of my all-time favorites.
Yes.
So good.
Man, I just always think about like those crazy like cut scenes in Ren and Stimpy where it was like the zoomed in
Like a
zips
painting.
and shit. It
Yeah.
was- dude.
Yeah, well, so like I have the first, second, and third seasons on DVD, and there's commentary, like audio, on a bunch of the episodes. So fucking interesting.
I bet.
Like John Kricfalusi is kind of a fucking like
He's a nut.
He's a nut, but he's also like really smart and kind of just knows when to push people and then when to like let them go.
Right.
And he's like, oh, if
Like
you
he's a
watch-
good writer. Like
he's
a good
like, if you
storyteller.
watch this episode, this is where I yelled at the background painters and told them to start using different color palettes because it was getting boring.
Right.
You know, and so you see, like, you feel that energy change in the like life of the thing, and it makes the thing you're looking at more compelling.
It gives it this kind of overall frenetic mode. You know what I mean?
Like
Like
it gives it a
tone.
soul. It
Yeah.
gives it a soul rather than it lets the thing be what it's gonna be rather than trying to like rein it in and rigidly program it at people.
Right.
It's a little more organic that
Yeah.
way, and
Yeah.
Well, and then when you watch that and you see that style of work, you can see something else by another artist that follows those similar modes, and that speaks, like, you can't really assign a name to it, you can't assign language to it, but like you think of something like Ren and Stimpy, and then you think of something like No Neck Joe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, those are both a similar type of art,
Yeah.
but I would have no idea how to assign language to that style of art.
For sure.
You know, there's just those certain things that, like, they resonate with you in this nonverbal way, and I feel like I remember when the Speed Wolf record came out, and they paired up with Sam Turner, and I remember very early on, like 10 years ago, probably 11, 12 years probably, I was trying to think of a way to steer the band in a direction and I didn't even know what the term branding was.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I was trying to get our stuff to appeal to the people that we wanted to appeal to, and I was having a hard time doing it. And I hit up Jim Norris, and I'm like, can you know, who's doing the best, like, metal art type of stuff right now? And he tells me about Sam Turner. And I tried, you know, I didn't really know Sam then, and I tried to get him, you know, get a hold of him, and didn't really hear anything back. And then, you know, he did the stuff for Speed Wolf, and I kind of went after him, and it never happened. You know what I mean? It didn't seem that something that he really dug on. But then you and I end up becoming friends.
Yeah, he's a
And
little he's a little bit more serious artistic.
Right.
Like he's got a more refined style and a more refined palette.
Right, and his stuff really
Visual.
fits with Chemist.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
fits
for
with
sure.
Speed Wolf.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, like,
It's very serious and austere. It's got like a very
Right,
a very
exactly.
interesting austerity and like little to no sense of humor. Like
right,
Raymond
sometimes.
Pettibone, who does all the Black Flag stuff, his stuff is austere in a different way. It's like so irreverent.
It's austere and satirical at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways.
But so then you and I become friends.
Mhm.
And after years of developing a friendship and after years of developing a mutual respect for people's art in a very natural way, we ended up coming to the conversation where it's like, man, your thing and my thing and our values, our principles, the aesthetics that we're turned on by, the nostalgia that we're attracted to, the styles of art that we're attracted to, without going about it in any deliberate way, we very naturally went, man, our stuff
Yeah.
would complement each
We're
other's
walking on the
stuff.
same path for a little while.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're talking over a decade ago, I got the itch to like turn things in this other direction, and it took so long to get to that point because I had to naturally strike up a kinship with and an appreciation for you two guys.
Yeah.
Just through seeing your stuff around and little micro conversations here and there.
Well, and like if you think about it like that, like Denver specifically and the world at large has kind of also like the planets have aligned really because when I moved here, Denver wasn't the same community as it is now for people who make art like us. It was getting there.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to move here, is because it wasn't there yet. But I saw a really solid framework and a lot of supportive places and people for things like that. It's part of the reason I came out here in 2010.
Well, the technology has developed with us too.
Yeah,
Like-
well, and now there's Instagram and there's a platform for all this stuff and there's a way for us to find each other a lot
And
easier,
technology to share stuff.
Yeah,
and
to bump the planets into aligning, but also there's greater cultural and environmental factors there too that just seem to have aligned. You know, Denver at the beginning of the boom, it was a really great place for people who wanted to open small businesses and had good ideas, for people who were changing hands with small businesses like Jim and Matt,
Right.
and for people who were finding stride with artistic voices and trying to find a place to because man, I wouldn't know half the people I know if I didn't volunteer to be the curator for True Brewing for the last fucking 6 years or
Right.
whatever.
So that's a role you continue to do, is being the curator for.
It's not now really. I
You're
think
one of a pool of curators that they work with?
I'm in the process of stepping down. I'm not sure if they found someone to replace me or not. I was trying to put feelers out and I wasn't getting much back. I don't know what they're.
It's kind
I
of
think
up in the
they're
air at this
handling
point.
it internally at this point.
Right.
January was March is my last officially booked show on the schedule that I put there.
Right.
So I don't know what's happening after that, but I didn't book February either. I just happen to have there's a fundraiser show for the month of print organization, which is
So
the
there is
national
an
organization.
end. There is an end established.
I'm
a
pretty
mutual
much
end
done.
established.
Like
Okay.
I'm done. So,
Cool.
but I wouldn't know a lot of the people I know had I not
Been doing that.
and had I not been trying to just do things. Like
Right.
I threw a party at True and I accidentally made the flyer for a time when they weren't open. And I sent it to Nick because I had his phone number and I was like, "This look cool to you?" And he was like, "Well, we're not open then, but we'll open for a private party if you want." And I was like, "Okay."
It's just one of those happy accidents.
Yeah,
that
and
ended
he
up
was
happening.
like, "Yeah, cool." And me and him became friends, and and Max does a ton of work with Nick now.
Right.
You know,
That was something that was like in pursuing that pool of artists. I became interested in Jay's stuff. I became interested in Max's stuff. Through shows and other networking, I became interested in Josh Finley's stuff.
Yeah.
I became interested in Jake Fairley's stuff. I've run into
that's how I met Jake.
I've run into dozens of other artists, but there's the handful that I'm like, yes, that's us, compared to the majority out there that are like, no, that's not us, And it had to be this real natural thing. And
Well, you guys have a very unique sense of humor in and of itself, and then having a sense of humor about rock and roll is already unique.
Right.
Because there's a lot of rock and roll people who want to take themselves too seriously.
Well, there's a lot of people in general who want to take themselves very seriously.
And rock and roll has no shortage of it.
Right. Well, it's because we are trained to we are biologically programmed to find meaning and significance.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in our biology to try and find it. And as human beings evolve, we kind of tinker around and succeed and fail to varying degrees in how we communicate our, we try and give meaning and substance to our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get so tied up in their mission to tell the world who they are, their mission to create something that gives meaning in their lives, they fail to separate their authentic self from the avatar, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they end up taking that avatar, they end up taking that presented identity and conflating it with reality, conflating it with who they are.
That's an interesting thing about the internet too, is I find the internet useful in that way is like I can have this avatar that I can totally be severed from, and I can present, like my Instagram is just tattoos pretty much.
Right.
And I can present that.
Right.
And then I don't have to deal with that. That part is done. It's over there. I don't have to like add it to my everyday life.
Right.
So it like gets it out of my system, but I think people get caught up in trying to live the representation. I feel like prior internet, that's what you were dealing with a lot of the time in like punk rock scenes and stuff, is people who have no outlet
Right.
for that avatar, and that's what going to shows is.
Yeah.
And now
It's like I want to play a character that's something better than this
but I don't
thing that I like. I feel like I am in my head. You know what I mean?
that's why I don't go to shows anymore.
Well, that's a fair point. It's like I love going to concerts and standing there and watching bands play, but being involved in a scene, there's much more to that.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing of how you play into the greater scene, and and I have just laid down so much of the identity that I spent so many years building that it's difficult to go to those environments and just be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like that's like something I'm having to learn how to do, is just go and just be, instead of, you know, when you're a kid, you're wanting to have a role and you're wanting to participate in the scene and you're wanting to make a name for yourself.
Now I just want to see bands I like.
Yeah. I really do like just going to a show and kind of standing there and watching a
You
band.
see me
play.
lurking around in the shadows very, very occasionally.
You know, not that I don't like socializing, because I do like socializing, but it's like sometimes you just want to go to a show and like not socialize.
Yeah, I want to watch the band.
Yeah.
That's why I came.
Yeah. And it used to be to go get drunk and try and have sex with people, but you know, there was that element too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I forgot what that was.
Hey,
like.
Gordo. Gordo, thank you
Yes.
for bringing in your record.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that. Logan, will you show this to the
Enjoy it.
people?
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I will. It's so.
Say something for the record. Tell
Granny
the people how you
Tweed.
feel.
Granny Tweed just released Ape Shit Mood Ring, their new
Great name.
their new album, and so I have, at any given time, I have a CD in my CD player in my car that plays while I'm like in between plugging my phone into the car and like setting up my GPS and leaving the house for the day. And right now, Ape Shit Mood Ring is the constant player in the CD player. So I've listened through the record in chunks probably a dozen times and listened to it a few times just like front to back. It is a really fucking fun record. It is really well done. The production you did on it, I can't believe that you just did that in your house.
Ooh, now I'm excited.
Dude,
I asked Gordo to get me one.
it's a great fucking record, dude. Like it's
Thank you, man.
It
I
is
really appreciate
really, really
that.
good. Like it is a masterful record, and it's definitely the best thing you guys have done so far, and I love everything that you guys have put out. So
Is it on Spotify?
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify. It's
Okay.
It's on Deezer, dude.
I don't even know what that is.
Neither do I. It cracked me up. It's like, yeah,
Can I buy it on Bandcamp?
That's yeah. Well, actually, no, you can't buy it on
Okay,
Bandcamp,
put it
but
on
you can
Bandcamp.
buy it at Gordophonic Records. Everybody out there can buy it at GordophonicRecords.com.
I love the artwork on it too. It's
Yeah.
like super eye catching too.
What made you just-
Marilyn Garrett. She's that's finger painting. She's a finger painting artist.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's sick.
What
saying it looks
she's,
like one of
she's
our
pretty
friends.
badass. Look her up on Facebook. She's amazing.
It looks like kind of a little bit like one of our friends, Elena Gunderson's work.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's kind of cool that you made the decision to use another artist instead of Josh Finley.
Yeah, we've pretty much consistently done that since the first album.
Really?
Yeah.
Josh Finley hasn't done any of.
I would bet Josh doesn't fucking want to.
It's kind of I think now that is the case.
Yeah.
Originally, it's a really hilarious story.
He's like, oh, I'm in
Let's
your
hear it.
band, so you want me to work for free?
Yeah.
That's real nice.
Me and which he already does for free all the time anyway.
Posters, right?
Posters. But no, when we when we had our first album, me and the bass player Chicken Dinner, like we took this picture of our gear on stage, and we were just so convinced that it was so great. And it's just a piece of shit picture. It is awful. It is terrible. It's
I know
dark.
what picture you're talking about.
Oh yeah, it's awful. It's
I mean, it
terrible.
looks cool.
We had a terrible Josh spray painted our name on a huge black sheet with red spray paint, and it just it looks incredibly ghetto, but I loved it.
Right.
And I was like, we got to use this, and Chicken Dinner was like, yeah, we got to use that, and so we were kind of like, we're like, how are we going to tell him that we want to use that for the? Well, I don't know. How are we going to? I don't know. How do we? Josh, we just want to use that for the cover, and he's just like, okay, that's an interesting choice. And he didn't really say. That's really all he said.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, he didn't say. I wish he would have said that picture really sucks. You might want to rethink this. Like, it doesn't have to be me, but
use a
like
picture fine,
use
but
something else.
You wish he hadn't spared your feelings at the time.
Bless his heart. Like
what he was
he
trying
just
to say, for
he just like yeah, okay, go ahead and use it. And like to this day, when I go through our CDs before a show, I'm just like, fuck this. This is just like the worst. The worst cover for a fucking album I have ever. Like, that's why I just don't like making these decisions.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The shittier the album cover of a band you like, there's a part of you that goes, oh, that must be an old record. Because it's before they learned branding and aesthetics and how to make stuff look cool. Like, this one looks like
I bet the
garbage.
production on that record's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I'm not gonna lie. Part of the reason I love it is because on Chicken Dinner's bass, he played upright bass at the time, like full time in the band, and on the bottom part of his bass that you can see very clearly, it says "I love Mormon pussy" on it, and it's hilarious, and we just
Still
thought
one of
that
those
was
stickers behind the
that
bar.
was
at
really
fucking
funny.
No,
Spot.
I've listened to that record. That's a good record. It's a good record.
Well, thank you.
What's the name
you're
of that
being
record?
very charitable. It's called Granny Tweed.
Yeah, it's
Very
self-titled.
original, yeah, self-titled original album. Yeah.
Like, have you ever listened to the first Sepultura record?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Do you remember me and Gordo getting excited about this last time?
Morbid Visions.
Yeah.
We talked about the first Sepultura
We
record.
talked
the
about
last time.
Max Cavalera for a minute,
Yeah, yeah.
and I brought up Sepultura, and I have never seen anyone get as excited as Gordo.
Oh man.
Most people just look at me and they're like, "What?" And I'm like,
Well, dude, that first album, like the art,
Sepultura.
the
"Oh, you mean that Brazilian band Sepultura?"
oh man, I love Sepultura. What is that? Their name's Sepulveda.
It's like a
whatever.
special kind of spatula, the Sepultura.
Sepulveda.
Sepulveda. That's what I was thinking of. Sepulveda. No, like you look at that album cover, and it's not like it's a cool album cover, but it's not all glossy and fucking like slick and nice. It's kind of lo-fi, man.
It's from
Yeah,
that
it's very
awesome
lo-fi.
era of '80s death and thrash metal covers that are just like
It looks like it was drawn on
bad
someone's
friends
desk.
of the band.
You have a good point there because I do actually like that cover a lot.
Yeah.
Dude,
Well,
it's
and
like-
then-
it's like-
It's like classic New York City hardcore flyers. I love
Oh, yeah.
hardcore
Yeah.
flyers.
Yeah.
Bug-eyed skinheads and fucking
Yeah,
just
yeah,
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
graffiti letters and fucking dumb shit. It's great.
That
Dude,
shit's
all
cool.
of
Yeah.
ST's original stuff,
Oh
Suicide
yeah,
Super
Rick
cool.
Clayton,
Like,
all the Rick
that
Clayton
shit is
fucking hand drawn
awesome.
shit.
The first
Repo
Anthrax
Man, are you
album,
kidding
Fistful
me?
of Steel.
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Like that doesn't look great.
No, it's not
No.
good,
You know,
but it's awesome.
And even with that Sepultura album, when you listen to it, I want to say someone told me, and if I've got this wrong, correct me. You might have to look this up, Gordo. But tell me if this is true. I was told that because their English wasn't great when they first did the record, they basically had to sit there with a dictionary and translate the lyrics as they were going in the studio. Is that true?
I think that sounds correct because I mean Max has been very open about his failure to translate as well as he wants to.
Right.
The ideas in his head
You can
into
hear.
English.
You can hear like the couple Monolith records that I did. By the way, anybody who's in the Southern California area, I'm gonna be out in San Diego and LA,
San Diego
doing gigs with Monolith this weekend. To learn more about it, I guess go to facebook.com/monolithsd and see what our schedule is. We're doing a couple shows. It's gonna be super fun.
Sweet.
But like when I did the Monolith records, I flew out and recorded them. Like the first record, I wrote all the lyrics the night before we went into the studio. Like I wrote them all there, you know, and I didn't have time to go to the studio over and over again. And Doug and I actually had an argument about when I asked for stems so that I could work on stuff here at home. You know, he's like, I booked the studio time. You need to come out here, and if you're not prepared, that's your own fault. And he was absolutely right. And so, you know, a lot of the stuff that I did is slapped together. And at the time, I was super self-conscious about it. But now when I go back and I listen to those records, I'm like, that's really cool that these were written and recorded.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like that's part of the thing that was attractive to me about Sepultura when I started listening to that.
Right.
Is like, cool. This band's from Brazil, and this dude sounds like he doesn't really
know what he's singing yet.
Yeah, he's translating concepts more via music,
right,
and attitude than language,
Absolutely.
and so
Yeah.
it's almost easier to wrap your brain around than if he was
Right.
literally telling you what he wanted. To
Right.
It's like, this guy's anti-authoritarian. He's fucking, he's fucking just giving it to the cops.
The whole
Like, yeah.
thing comes through better. And
The whole thing
fuller.
is like seems like it's sketched out in pencil. You know what
Well,
I mean?
it
Like,
has
he's
soul.
still working through
It's
ideas.
like we were talking
and-
about. It's got soul.
Yeah.
It lives and breathes, and it's
Troops of Doom forever, man.
It's like someone took a little doodle, and this is what I like about so many bands early on in their careers. It's like someone took a little doodle in a sketchbook and then animated it. You know what I mean? Just like brought a little shitty first draft to life and let it run around. You know what I mean?
like Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Like Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Motherfucking
Exactly.
Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite
Sepultura
children's books.
is the Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Morbid
I saw
Visions.
Scott Ian talking about the first, it was, I don't know if it was the first, but it was Fistful of Metal. Like
Yeah.
it's like such a terrible, but again,
Yeah.
iconic cover, you know,
Yeah.
and
I love that
and he was
one.
talking about like what it was supposed to look like and what it obviously didn't end up looking like, you know. And
Right.
it was just like, we just, we knew this guy, and he was, we said, hey, we just want a face, and we want a fist coming through it, whatever. And it didn't really turn out the way we wanted it to,
But it's
now it's awesome and-
iconic,
yeah.
but it's totally iconic.
Right.
The Knot Man, all that shit. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
That kind of stuff's funny too, because like I always think about it. I'm like, man, there are times like certain projects. I'm like, I want to draw something like that for this project, and I can't for the life of me like recreate shit like that. Just,
Right.
It's so unique and
Yeah.
lives in its own world. I'm like, I don't even know.
I don't know how to craft it the level of bad that it is, so that it's bad but still awesome.
Yeah.
Crafting at the level of bad is like,
Yeah, man.
that's the name of a book or a fucking, like.
I think you just summarized every career in this room.
I would definitely name one of my albums that.
That's the
Crafting
that's the
at the
episode
level
name.
of bad.
I think that might be the episode.
Yeah, write that down as the episode name.
Crafting at the level of bad.
Crafting
a
at the
lot of
level
those
of bad.
old records, though, like the artwork on the front, it's like, oh, it's cool, but it's also kind of shitty. Like the first Exodus album,
Yeah.
and like all the old Black Sabbath albums and shit. It's like,
Yeah.
it's cool, but man, that dude's hand looks weird, or like the little baby is
Yeah.
kind of not.
Well, you
drawn
mentioned
great,
you
know?
mentioned
Clearly
Raymond
the budget
Pettibon,
was
you
not
know?
going to the art department.
You mentioned like all that old SST record stuff.
yeah.
Like that isn't good, air quotes.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like amazing art, but it looks like something some dude drew. You
Well,
know,
and
it just looks
And
like
it doesn't need to be more than that. It has such attitude and just being what it is that you don't need to do anything.
like it looks like the inside of a principal's desk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like all the drawings that they've confiscated
Yeah.
from kids in class. It's like, well, we found your son drawing this. It's a police officer with a gun in his mouth that says, "Make me come F word. You know, we can't be having this.
He's got to pick up a cherry bomb and a slingshot off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like it's like fucking Principal Skinner's desk, and it's just
Yeah.
all Bart Simpson's fucking
Totally.
satirical.
And that's
and,
cool,
like,
man.
Bart Simpson's a secret genius.
Dude, like,
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day because I got an accidental pocket dial from Andrew from Warlock Pinchers.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, oh, man, I got to hit up Andrew and get him on the show. And I'm glad I said that out loud because
Yeah.
Andrew, if you're watching, I want to have you on the show, man.
I want to
Like,
listen to that episode because
Dude.
I don't know any of those dudes, but that band was really, really cool.
They were one of the first,
Oh, cool. Hold on one second.
like, they were one of the first, like, lo-fi, like, underground, local. Like, to me, they weren't even a local band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were bigger than local for sure.
They were in your brother's CD collection. You know what I mean? Along with all the other stuff we were listening to.
Like in Kansas, we were definitely digging that shit.
Dude,
You know.
so
I just thought of my one for the homies because there's a band from Milwaukee that reminds me of Warlock Pincers, but a little bit
cool.
different.
The Warlock pincer moves,
This is great.
writing on the dollar
Do you have a
bill.
piece of paper?
No, I've got a dollar bill, dude. Right on the taffy.
That's not gonna write on that seal.
No,
That's bullshit. I
but-
can't read that.
Like
They're
Gordo,
right on
here's
the
here's a fun fact, and I
It's
wanted to
right on the
mention this because another couple guys I want to get on the show were the guys from the Colorado Punk Rock Army, Phil
Oh,
Deans
yeah.
and Andy
Yeah.
Heidel.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
grew up adjacent to those guys. They're a little bit older than me. Andy's brother, I was in Cub Scouts with Andy's brother Nick Heidel, and then Phil Deeds dated my babysitter, Colleen Thompson. And Phil, at the time that I saw Phil, you know, he's a senior at fucking Kennedy, and he's got the leather jacket with the Warlock Pinchers fucking logo on the back of it, and like from a distance, I was like, dude, that's a fucking cool punk rock guy, you know what I mean? Like, so I want to get those guys on the show, but
That'd be great. Yeah.
so I saw that, and I'm listening to the Warlock Pinchers albums, and looking at it now from where I am now, they were this really lo-fi, low budget, and I got to see, you know, later in life, I got to see footage of what the studio looked like for them, and that's not how I imagined it in my head. Like, it seemed so much bigger and more important, and then you get older and you start to learn about the truth about it. It's like, oh, they were recording stuff in these little shithole studios, and like the only media that's out there of them beside their albums is like, you know, an interview on some little public access show, or like they got interviewed by some like Christian expose network that was like
Trying to shit on them.
or Slayer, like.
Yeah.
So, and then years later, Andrew ends up becoming who Andrew is, who is like infinitely expanded out and become more eclectic and more eccentric than the Warlock Pinchers could have ever hoped to be. Like, he is an interesting fucking character and just like this like curator of kitsch, right? He's just a fascinating dude. He did those breakfast face art shows or whatever they were, where he made like art out of pancakes and shit. Did you see that? Like,
That's awesome.
dude, like he's into weird stuff. That's who he's always been. And when we were a little bit younger, probably in our early 20s, because it was when Jordan was still in the band, they did an album called Warlock Pinchers Imposters, where they got a bunch of people to do Warlock Pincher songs on this tribute album. And we found out about it, and we were like, we want to be on it, please, for the love of God. And we did, we ended up doing Devil Without a Pause. And like all these local musicians just submitted versions of Warlock Pinchers songs. Barstool Messiah with Nick Plummer, they ended up doing like Flaming Mimes, and Wesley Willis had a song on there, and I
fucking
met
cool.
Wesley Willis at the show. Like,
Did he headbutt you?
Yes, he did. I went, Wesley Willis, dude, it's so nice to meet you. And he grabbed me and he goes, give me a rock. And he goes, give me a headbutt. And he gave me a headbutt. And I'm like, he's in the lobby.
Then
So
he
it-
said to sell us his drawings.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of money.
So he's in his.
I wish I would have bought one.
Yep.
but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I was
almost
also-
bought one at one of his shows.
I was also
and
like 18 and poor. You
And
know?
you were like, who is
It
this?
was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life, honestly.
Wacko.
Wesley Willis?
Wesley Willis.
Dude, it
With the drag news?
No, just on his own.
Just him with the keyboard.
He did like a cocksucker suite that was just like nothing but like 45 minutes of just like.
So and so's a cocksucker.
Well, I mean, just various animals, cocks,
Yeah.
and and yeah. It was just it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, he so we're in the lobby. It was the show was at, I think it was Monkey Mania,
It was.
back at the old Monkey Mania.
Yeah.
And in the lobby they just had a bunch of Warlock Pincher's video stuff playing in the background, like a documentary that never got finished, and the stuff where they're on they're getting interviewed by the news, the Christian news network that is gonna show you what's going down with Satan in the world, and it's like they're showing this clip, and it's like,
Pagan invasion.
The
was name
first-
of it where I grew
This
up.
week in Satan.
dude, the first half of it is all about Slayer, and then the second half is like, we're gonna actually sit down and talk with a band of Satan worshipers, and it's all the guys from the Warlock Pinchers, including a teenage Andrew, and they're all sitting there, and the guy, like, dude, he's got the like hairspray, fucking helmet hair, and he's got like the tweed 3-piece suit, and like the brown tweed 3-piece suit,
Give me the
and he's got the microphone with the little foam protector on it, and he's like, all right, guys, so you're the Warlock Pinchers. Tell me what you guys think about Satan. And he's just going down the line, passing the mic around, and they're all going, cool, 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 Satan's cool, Satan's cool. And then it gets to King Scratchy at the end, and he's like, yeah, Satan's cool, but this God guy, fucking blah, 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 starts going off. And then off to my right is Wesley Willis, drawing pictures, and I'm like, dude, I love your art, man. That's really cool. And he goes, you like it? And I'm like, yeah, man. He goes, do you want to buy a drawing? And I'm like, how much? And he said, what did he say, $200?
$500.
Yeah, he tried to sell me one for $300 in Kansas City. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'll bet he got people to buy them, too.
he did. I saw him sell 3 of them that night.
The only reason he probably sold him for that price is because fucking Jello was in his ear going, "You got to charge.
You need to ask for more for your art, Wesley. People love your stuff.
more
Well,
for your art."
if Joe Biafra happens to see this, I want you on the show. Sorry we make fun of you
I
so
will
much.
come back and be on the show just to hang out with you, Jello.
Yeah.
Because
Seems
that
like
that Lard EP is.
Why is
Hell
he
yeah.
such an easy target? Like
Which
I don't
is
know.
dope.
Like I've always been a real big fan of Jello Biafra, but he is
because his
he's just
because
a
his
fucking-
vocal style
he
stands
is,
out.
He
He's
is an
just a
easy
character.
target. Yeah.
Well, and,
Well,
and,
like, when
and he
we-
says outlandish shit.
When we
well,
played
he
with,
really does.
we
after
played
the
with
end.
National Pussy the last time. Was that the National Pussy?
Yeah,
show?
Nashville Pussy at
And he
Streets.
was there, and I was wearing
Bernie Sanders Black Sabbath shirt.
Yeah, and he wanted to take a picture with me and Aaron. We had been done playing, and I hit the liquor pretty
You were
hard.
drinking.
And then Aaron was like, "Oh, Jello wants to take a picture with us." I was like, "Cool, man." I went over there, and he started talking, and I lost it, man. I was just like, "Oh shit, I forgot he really sounds like that."
There is no one there's nobody like that
Because
in the
Jello
world.
is a true character.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is why
for real.
he's the guy who saw Wesley Willis and was like, people need to know about this motherfucker.
Right,
Right.
right.
He's a visionary dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's an imposing character. So he was saying a lot of stuff, and he was saying it loud, and he was saying it in that characteristic voice, and he was those Dead Kennedys songs and the stuff he did with Mojo Nixon and the stuff with Guantanamo Baywatch and all that stuff, like the stuff he did with Lard, he had these characters that he had created that were all addressing these like huge issues, and you have to be a little bit outside of the realm of polite society to feel comfortable
To even
portraying that
attack
stuff.
it. I
To
mean,
even
that's-
attack that stuff.
That's
right.
that's like Guar. It's like Dave Brockie. Like you
People are like, Dave Brockie's an asshole.
You
It's
have
like,
to have
yeah.
a certain amount of irreverence to tackle the subject matter, especially
Right.
in the way that they do. But to tackle that subject matter at all.
When I met Jello,
The reason you want to say Dave Brockie's an asshole is because you're too uncomfortable with the fact that that shit goes on in the real world and you don't want
Right.
to look at it.
right.
You know, and that's
Well,
why.
and he had to be that type of guy.
Yeah.
He had to be that type of person to push forward this really iconoclastic band like Guar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I met Jello, it was such a surreal experience because I had looked up to him so much as an artist. And those Dead Kennedys records are another example, just like the World Pinchers stuff,
and
where it seemed so giant to me.
Just that alone. You called your band the Dead Kennedys?
Yeah.
At a time when they killed the fucking president.
Right. Not that, and it wasn't that long after. They came out in the 80s, and I mean, the Kennedy assassination was only a couple decades old at that time.
Man.
So it was still something that, like, upset people to talk about.
Especially in Reagan's America.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially during that time. Like, you can't talk about that.
Well, and all the stuff with the PMRC, like, all the stuff with the PMRC and all the stuff, the things that he talks about in his spoken word, you know what I mean? Like, like he was... When he ran for mayor of San Francisco, there was stuff going on then that we now take for granted, and he had to be a certain personality to thrive in that time, you know. And when we met him, he was nothing but polite and kind and complimentary. He took our record home. He liked our band. He was very complimentary to me personally, and I mean, I ended the conversation. He'll talk to you all night. You know, so like,
that's insane to me,
dude. I ended but I look back at those.
Aaron.
Yeah, dude.
That is
I excused
amazing.
myself from the conversation.
Aaron outtalks me, and I'm a talker.
Like I hit the wall before he did. Like I was just like I need a break from the conversation. I got to go walk around and go take care of business. You know, sorry, Jello Biafra, I can't talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, and he was just to have the experience. Like I did a project for class about This Could Be Anywhere off the Frankenchrist album.
Nice.
You know, and Soup is Good Food, I think I did those two tracks off of Frankenchrist for a project at school. You know, and listening to those records and then just the sound of it and the grit and the starkness and the subject matter and the production and all those things, they seemed like these lofty, unobtainable, amazing things to me. And then you become an adult and you see the studios that the Dead Kennedys recorded in.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're like, this is a
plywood with like fucking egg crates nailed up and like
it looks like this bootlegged.
Right.
You know,
and
this is a far more fucking
this is way
intense production facility than any of those places. But that's part of what gave you the sound too.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you listen to if you listen to most, and I exclude Brad Smalling from this because Brad Smalling is super open-minded and he's great to work with and fantastic studio, but so many studios, they have a whole bunch of rules about the way it's supposed to be done and what makes a record sound good that they're not even willing to venture into the terrain that so many of these bands that we look up to did when they were just doing the best they could with what they had around. Yeah. Those Black Flag records.
I have kind of a technical question for Logan, actually.
Oh boy.
On this thing, when you record bass, do you often have people just say go direct in, don't use an amp?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
God, that blows my mind. It still blows my mind. I don't know why that.
I
don't get it.
I don't really either, but I know that's how you're gonna get the like cleanest sound, and you can fuck with it.
Oh yeah, no, I get going direct in, but then not also getting an amp sound as well.
Yeah.
Like Brad has
getting the amp
both.
track to cut in and under track.
I know that Brad does both, but there's a lot of people that don't do any kind of they don't do any miking of a bass cabinet, and it blows my mind.
It takes extra work.
It's
an extra $2 per hour.
Well,
but
I think what it must be is that turn towards production rather than. It's like it's easier to edit in Pro Tools if you can not have that extra bass track or whatever. And obviously, you like that complicates things a little bit, but not enough to where I don't want to have the bass player's sound.
Right. I bet most of the records you listen to have a direct bass line.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, ours
drum
does,
triggers, man.
But it also has the sound in the room of the amp.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It has a time and place, but when you strip all of that away, you have like these soulless, flat feeling
Well, yeah.
records. You
It's
know?
it's because the technology advanced in a certain direction, and I think a lot of the new professionals of the medium started going like, oh, this technology has revolutionized this. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
do this and this and this and this anymore. But Ty gave me a really great example once. He saw a video on YouTube, and I couldn't find it when I went looking for it, so I'll have to ask him where he saw it. But basically what someone did is they took the drum track from Fool in the Rain by Led Zeppelin, and they quantized it.
Oh yeah, you were talking about this not too long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and it totally changed the vibe of the song. Like, taking the John Bonham's drum tracks and putting them where they're supposed to be, quote unquote, made the song shitty.
And that's a particularly hard
Yeah.
song to get right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of swing
Because
going
of the
on in it.
changes, yeah, and they and it just, like, one thing that I like that Brad does up at Evergroove too is he takes quantization on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
He's
if
like,
it fits.
he's like, okay, this is a really, like, kind of techie metal song. Like when we would do Parker songs and stuff
Yeah.
like that, he'd be like, these are a little techier. We probably want to quantize these so that we get the turns just sharper. You know what I mean? So that will sound
Trigger
good.
the drums.
Right.
You know.
But then stuff that was like,
punch it up a little bit. 'Cause
Right.
You can do it with that stuff.
a lot of what we do is we sit around and we brainstorm reference material. You know, we go, on this song, I really wanted to, you know, I want to get these kind of tones. I want to get these kind of sounds. We talked about this on the Brad episode, but he really likes taking it on a case by case basis, and I think that's a really great way to do it.
As you should. I would.
Yeah, yeah, man.
This might be a good a point for a break here.
Yeah, I gotta
maybe
take a
maybe
piss.
deal with some audio stuff and
Okay,
whatnot.
cool. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do the sponsors. We'll keep the stream rolling in the meantime. Those of you who are popping in, we'll be right back.
Leak. Smoke this other joint.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get another beer. It's gonna keep fucking snowing.
Oh, yep.
Maybe we'll ask Max.
Good stuff, fellas.
Yeah,
Good
maybe.
stuff. I'm having fun. I'm having fun.
I'm gonna just record
Oh, go for it.
You're thinner than I am,
You're
so
fine.
doing a little. I don't want to step over the cord on
You wanna
camera.
go see those guys?
You are just fine.
Cybertronic spree. Kinda.
It's all like power 80s fucking
Power.
shit.
What is it?
Power.
The marquee. Yeah. March 31st.
I'll see if I can do it.
It's super fun stuff.
Yeah.
Damn,
Gotta
it's
get
here.
It's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah, that shit's dope.
High. I didn't even notice that.
I was like the first
Yeah, I
person to
noticed
know
that
it.
when you
I was like,
walked in. I
wow.
was like, that is
This
fucking
is Blue
sick.
Stick.
She had power.
In the back says Carrie White burns in hell.
If only they
Oh,
knew.
that's dope.
So pumped on it.
So sick.
I just got this thing shirt, this long sleeve, and down this arm it has it in yellow. It has like the face, the two faces,
Oh, yeah.
twisted together. Then on this arm, there's nothing except for right here
His
is
little crab head.
Kurt Russell
Oh, that's
with like
sick.
his beard and his like aviators on. So it's like all this and then one Kurt Russell.
That's
right there. I was like,
fucking
what? It was. I think
I gotta
there's
do
a.
a. I gotta do a fucking thing, Chucky mashup.
Oh.
Tattoo in a week, and I'm like freaking out about it.
That is
it's live streaming so that we can't edit out my stupid words.
Hey, it's catching all of our stupid words right now.
It's catching all 2 of my words.
Like I said, you and Logan are gonna sit here.
Dude, sometimes you gotta like cut in there, you know,
Yeah.
because it'll just
Like
keeps going.
even I'm trying to fucking
Pop in a
hold on,
lot.
hold on.
There's some of it I like try to steer it, and Goro does too. But
Yeah.
That's why when he was like, "Sorry, I derailed the conversation," I was like, "No, we need that.
Yeah.
That needs to be a thing.
yeah, thanks, bud.
Yeah, you need to derail it every so often so we can actually get something done."
If I feel like it's just going on, I'll just start rolling.
Playing with shit.
Dude, I rolled 3 99s in a row the other day.
Nice.
It was super weird.
With which character?
That was the one I'm building with Melon. That's gonna be a 5 levels of rogue, and then I'm planning on finishing it out with a ranger.
Moist.
Sounds tight.
These things are cool, man.
Yeah. I thought the gray ones would be the best across the board, and then I was like, I'll just fucking make this.
These will probably be the rogue die,
Nice.
and then these will be my.
There was a
guys.
green set, but I gave those to the baby already, so
Yeah.
they're long, split up. I think that's part of the. Those sets are part of the. Maybe the bag of holding set. I think.
Is that sculpt?
Yeah, man. The fucking turtle bones on the
Yeah.
fucking shoulder pads.
They post like a full picture of Bebop.
Ooh. Yeah.
The sculpt is
That
fucking
shit's
awesome.
so fucking tight.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
He's got the fringe on his jacket, the little button and shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
All the details.
It's gonna be such a fun company to work for.
You're gonna work for them?
No, I said it's gotta be.
Oh, gotta
a
be.
fun company to
I
work
thought you were. I thought you said it's gonna be. I was
I
like,
wish.
cool, man.
I used to work for a collector toy company.
Thanks for everybody who's been checking in to give us audio feedback. Yeah, it's better than it was last time,
It
And
is
next
better than it
time-
was.
and next time it'll
and
be
it
better
may
than it is
still
now.
be
So what's
weird.
the problem now? What's
but-
sorry?
Well, last time we completely lost the audio on the
Oh.
second half of the
Altogether.
podcast,
Yeah.
and then this time.
Sometimes that might not be the worst thing in the world.
Well, and then this time, what the issue is we're getting clipping right on the audio version of
Why
it.
is it always when I'm here?
Yeah, it's super. Well, it's all the time, I think.
Oh, is it?
But what's weird is that like the signal going into the computer is not clipping, but coming out and going to.
I think it
the
has
live
something to
stream.
do with running the way that we're connecting it is the RCA out to the iPhone,
Chips.
which is
Yeah, we'll try a different connection.
which is one of
next
the
time.
one of the options. But I know you can plug in USB to the back as well. It might be better to like run it out to a
I think we should only eat
run it
live
out
snacks.
of the board to
The
a
louder the snack, the better.
an interface and
The
then
preamp.
and then run the USB off the interface. That might be the way to do it. I don't know.
Might be the way
Hell
to do
yeah.
it.
Hey, anybody
Get
who's
some
got
excellent-
experience
excellent
with
Foley sounds right now.
oh, excellent. All right, we're gonna do the whole sponsors while eating chips.
Is it ASMR? Is it?
First and foremost,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly.
What about ass to mouth?
our most venerable
Nay, venereal.
venereal sponsor, Matula Plumbing.
That
Oh, yeah,
definitely
that definitely broke something.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shit rolls downhill. Don't be at the bottom. Your number 2 is our number 1 priority. Your shit is our bread and butter. Angie's a Super Service Award winner back in 2011. One is the only one that matters. He'll wear the booties for ya. The master of poopers himself. And flushes for all. Jerry Matula, if you're in the Chicago area and you need your the shit piped out of your house, hit up our man Jerry Matula. Evergroove Studio, we've been blowing them for the last half hour or so. Love Evergroove, love everything that they do. Looking forward to going up there and recording some new stuff. Looking forward to hearing the mix and master of our new album, which we're going to be releasing here soon. That's going in for mix and master this month. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Evergroove is selling a lot of their old gear right now on Facebook and
On Facebook Marketplace.
and Reverb and wherever.
Hey,
They
hey,
know-
Aaron.
Just thought I would plug that.
Hey, Aaron, how do they power that place?
Oh, it's 75% solar powered. Solar. Jay's like, quit fucking around, dude. This is my favorite part of the show. The sponsors. It is 75% solar powered.
Solar powered.
Atop Black Mountain near Evergreen, Colorado. In Evergreen, Colorado. I think it's technically an Evergreen address. It is the most fun place to go make a record.
And the mountain
So we
is
think you
so
should.
black.
It is so
The
black.
blackest of mountains.
It is the blackest of all mountains. It's actually pretty lush and green, and there's a lot of white people out hiking around.
Yeah, that's very true. Everything you just said is a lot more true than what I just said.
It should be called Caucasian Mountain. I live in the Caucasian Mountains.
You mean the Caucasus Mountains?
It should be called Birkenstock Mountain. It should be called Caucasian Mountain.
Hey, whoa.
Is what it should be
I
called.
got Crocs, fool.
Yeah, they're really, really comfortable.
I almost wore them today.
Yeah, you're also Caucasian. Let's clarify that.
Do you have the little pins and shit to stick out of them? I bet you do.
I found some bootleg Snoopy ones, and I definitely found a bootleg Pot Leaf. Oh, and I found bootleg Ninja Turtle ones. I have all 4 turtles, Splinter, and Shredder.
That's really cool. So wear your Crocs up to Evergroove Studio and see Brad and Jenny about your next project. Yeah, that's what we call segues, bitch. Yeah, Evergroove Studio. Check them out at evergroove.com. Rocket Space Rehearsal Studios over on Larimer Street next to the Larimer Lounge, where our good buddy Mikey Mulligan is pouring all the frothy beverages you can possibly desire to enjoy.
Every single one.
All of them.
Sweetest dude imaginable. Oh, speaking of Larimer Lounge, big shout out to Tony Mason.
Tony Mason.
Tony Mason is leaving Lost Lake. He's leaving
He's
Larimer
leaving
Lounge.
for Tejas.
He's leaving for Tejas. Big shout out to Tony. Thank you so much for taking care of us and all the other bands in town that play your venues. We love you lots, man. Best of luck in your new endeavors.
Rocket Space Studios.
Yeah,
You
Rocket-
ain't got to carry
Very
shit.
shit. Yeah.
He's got this.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Kate.
Just shut up, Aaron.
And all
Let
of
him do
you-
it.
Yeah.
Let him do it.
No, next time, let me do it.
He's like, no.
I need Aaron's prompt.
He's qualified enough on this episode to be the color commentator,
Yeah.
but not the
I can't
lead
be the
commentator.
main commentator.
The commentator
Someday.
of color. Is that what you're
Someday you'll.
This is already such a huge.
that what you're
We,
saying?
you just got demonetized on YouTube.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is pink and rashy is a color. So
Pink and rashy.
that's a crayon color right there. Hey, what color are you gonna use on your rhinoceros there, sweetheart? This is gonna be a pink and rashy rhinoceros. Oh. That's my little Imagineer. Here you go.
Flip side music.
Flip side music. Hey, real quick before we move on, shout out
Sorry.
to Kate and the gang over at Rocket Space Rehearsal Studios. Fully equipped hourly rehearsal studios. Rocket Space, you ain't got to carry shit.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you so much, Kate, for everything you do. We're going to be back in there for a rehearsal soon to get ready for these goddamn shows that we're playing. March 5th at Surfside 7 in Fort Collins with Haas and Hail Satan. March 6th in Colorado Springs at the Triple Nickel with the Nobodies. And the Born Readies are going to be playing. I'm really excited to play
Wow,
with
that
the
band's
Nobodies.
still around.
Yeah.
Born Readies?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dude,
I got like a demo tape from that band.
Dude, you know what? You and Chris from the Born Readies are like twin wizards. Like he's the light wizard and you're the dark wizard. You know what I mean?
See the bigger dude with glasses?
Yeah.
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 I think I talked to him when I saw them on like cassette store day at Angelo's CDs and more. Or
He's a
something.
rad dude. They sound like Cheap Trick mixed with AC/DC mixed with King Tough. They're fucking awesome.
They're real good.
They're great.
It's a good description.
Yeah, they're great. I love that band. But I'm also really excited to play with the Nobodies because the very first song we ever learned in this band in 1997 The very first track on our very first demo tape was Hey Doofus by the Nobodies. And we've never played with them before. So, like, we're really excited to do that show, man. Then March 7th will be at Goosetown Tavern with Fast Eddie and the Trade-Ins. That's going to be a bitchin' show.
Neat.
It's going to be a super fun one. And then we're talking about the possibility of getting something going during the day on that Sunday. Josh Lent, if you're listening, hit me back, man. We're trying to do something with Chain Reaction. Let's do it, man. Let's do something for the kids.
Mutiny Information Cafe.
Mutiny Information Cafe on 2 South Broadway in Denver, Colorado, in the heart of Denver, Colorado. Mutiny is everything. They got books, records, comics, coffee. What are we going to say?
Denver was just there the other day.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
The 5-pointed star of Snark. Yeah.
The coffee is super good, man.
It's
I know.
so
I
good.
know.
Their iced coffee is really rad
Dude,
because they
use
freeze
They
coffee.
use the
Yeah.
coffee ice cubes.
Yeah.
That shit is
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah,
Shit
the
doesn't
iced
get
coffee
watered
is
down.
definitely like
And I know what
legit.
I know what kind of coffee they use, and for some reason it's just better there.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, they're
It's
masters
Pablo's
of their craft
Danger
and shit.
Monkey is
Yep.
what
I've
they
like made the same stuff at home, but it doesn't work.
Yeah,
It's not the same. Well, that's
well, those guys have
because
studied. They
yeah.
studied.
Yeah.
Jim and Matt did study. They like went to the coffee
Well,
monastery. dude.
well, and
Damn.
if you're buying from Pablo's, you just ask Craig. I mean, Craig
for the
studies.
good beans.
Craig studies. Like he
Oh,
sends,
I'll get the beans.
he sends the Pablo's dudes to study.
I don't
Like,
think we've had as many snacks and beverages and libations ever.
Yeah.
So this is a very burpy episode.
This is a fun hangy
Still got
outy
coffee.
episode.
on I listen to your mom's house a lot, the Tom Segura podcast.
Yeah.
They have a fart mic located beneath, like Tom Segura and his wife. They have a fart mic
Christina Pazitsky.
Yep.
Under each of their chairs,
Uh-huh.
so that their farts are recorded.
Oh yeah. And
So
you
And
fucking
then you
And
gotta guess who made which one.
burps and farts, they just let them fly, and I think it's a great.
That's
I
really
do.
good.
Yeah, I,
We'll
I
be
listened
there
to
one
the
day.
I
That's a
listened to
good
the
angle.
Boogie Monster with
Oh, yeah, it's
Kyle
a lot of
Kinane and Dave
farts.
Stone and
Dude, we should get like PZM mics in and like install them in the seat so that they just capture like the full vibration. I like that.
Mutiny Information.
Mutiny
Cafe.
Information
The
Cafe.
largest selection of Torini syrups.
Nobody has a larger selection of Torini syrups. No
And I
one.
was looking at that shit. Root beer, cupcake.
They
They have an
What the
eggnog one.
Eggnog.
They got an eggnog
It's
one?
You know how many
crazy.
Torini syrups we have in our household?
How many?
0.
One.
Which one?
Because you're not
Vanilla.
Mutiny
Couldn't even
Information
tell you.
Cafe.
It's sitting at the
bitch.
back of the cabinet. It just sits there.
That's where the spiders live.
It is. I can almost assure
There's
you.
Spider food. Just sits there and never.
Man,
goes
I always just like viewed the syrup bottles at most places as just like background stuff that was collecting dust. You know what I mean? Because I never had occasion to use them. Mutiny Information Cafe has they are artisanal. What would you call it? Artisanal Torini.
Curators?
Curate.
They're soda wizards.
They're
mean,
really
they are curators.
alchemists. They're Torini alchemists.
But there's
That's what they are.
they're alchemists and they're curators
Sounds
because
like
of their
my last
selection.
D&D character.
Yeah.
She's a Torini alchemist.
Okay, you enter a small room where there is a large oak platform, and behind it stands a Torini alchemist. What do you do?
I asked for a
Strawberry egg cream.
yeah.
Go.
I asked for an eggnog latte.
Okay, roll for
It's a good
effect.
choice, honestly.
Hold on.
Roll for effect.
I have a prop for this, right?
Yeah, you have a prop for it. Might as well use it. Roll for effect.
Chocolate
Jay-
hazelnut
D20.
martini.
Jay brought me dice.
Roll a d20 for charisma check.
Charisma check.
No, we're gonna roll for effect.
I got 6.
She made you a diarrhea soda.
Cool, I'm into that.
Logan, did you listen to that Snakebite song that I sent you?
Yeah, I did. Hell yeah. Snakebite.
It's so good.
It is way good.
Mutiny Information Cafe. Mutiny is everything. This is a Mutiny Information, or this is a Mutiny transmission. Thanks so much, guys. We love you lots. Flip side music on South Tacoma Street there on the rock block. Everything you want, nothing you don't. A true, like, if this was a video game, like an RPG, like I would be like the outfitter that you go to. You know what I mean? He'd be the outfitter and the blacksmith. Like you walk in and he's like, "Hey, what can I get you?" And then you just get all the cool shit
I
there.
could totally see that.
Yeah.
Like that gunship tech noir video.
What?
Have you seen the video for that song Tech Noir by Gunship?
No.
You need to check it out.
Cool.
I need,
Dude.
every time I'm like, I need to bring like a little piece of paper and a pen because, especially with like
Could you
Jay
use Jay's
just dropped.
Jay knows his stuff.
Yeah, you use a dollar.
Just write it on the dollar. Yeah, Jay
But
knows his stuff.
Not just with you, but like I'm constantly like learning bands and videos and like different dork shit. And I'm
I'll
just
send
like,
it to you.
Got the
Dude.
memory of a goldfish over here.
Interesting factoid. This morning, I sent out 2 emails, one to Mark Maron and one to Ike,
Why'd you send one to Mark Maron?
because I'm sending him a record and I needed his address. He got back to me before Ike did.
What?
Yeah.
Mark Maron's gonna
Yeah.
take your record?
It was unbelievable. I was like, whoa, he shot me his address super fast.
That's
Dude.
like really cool.
That's
Whoa.
rad.
That's super rad.
He was in the Joker, and I saw that, and I was just like, dude, Mark Maron's getting that Joker money. Hell yeah.
Hey, shout out to Mark Maron. I'm good, thank
He's
you.
in the Riri movie too, the Aretha Franklin movie that's
Oh, really?
coming out next year.
Hell yeah.
That's cool.
Making moves.
People like him.
Not just an angry podcast man.
People like that Mark Maron. He's got
doing good things.
He's got that, guy down the hall from you in your apartment complex. So, you wish he'd meet a nice girl, but he's very nice and he's very he's very friendly and polite, but he also seems very angry,
I shit my pants.
He's that's him now. Hi, Mark. Yeah, shout out to Mark Maron. That's really cool. Ike at Flipside Music knows a shitload about pedals and guitars, and he's got lesson spaces. They've got a repair shop in the back, and they have probably the most comfortable showroom I've ever seen at a music store.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been there? Have you seen the showroom? It's just
Absolutely,
it's
I
got one of those big 360 couches, and you can just sit down, and then couches all around the wall, and you can just hang out and jam.
Like a guitar center that doesn't suck.
Yeah,
Right.
like a guitar center that doesn't suck.
And you can try out any of the pedals too.
And
Like,
they
you can just be
probably
like, "That looks weird."
have the thing that you want.
Yeah, and
They
he's
definitely do, dude. I called him just a couple weeks ago. I was like, do you have the DD200? He's like, yeah, buddy. What do you think we are? What do you think this is? Yeah.
Yeah.
well, they do have the largest selection of pedals in the region. That is true. Regional Salesman of the Year. Ike Iacovangelo.
They have a podcast too, right?
Get you
Or a YouTube
They have a
channel.
YouTube channel.
fuzz
The
pedal.
what the fact.
delay.
What the frequently asked questions are you talking about?
Yeah, what the frequently asked questions are you talking about? Yeah, what the fact on Flipside's music channel. Check it out. We're a fan of everything that those guys do. What else? Oh, thenugnation.com. This and all our podcasts come from the Nug Nation studios at an undisclosed location here in the Rhino District of Denver, Colorado. Man, there's some cool stuff coming out. These guys walked in, and I was in the middle of a meeting about some treatments that we're doing. We had to make a bunch of jokes about weed history and Abraham Lincoln and hemp, and yeah, I can't give the name of the client, but it's going to be very cool stuff. TheNugNation.com is home to all sorts of great fun content, especially our show, The Nug Nation, featuring those wacky nugs in their wacky adventures through the town of Nugville.
Billy Ray Cyrus was in a Super Bowl commercial yesterday.
Was he?
Yeah.
I told Max we were
Did
gonna
they use
talk about
microphones
this.
to record it?
No, he was on the phone. He was on the phone, and the rest of the commercial was going on.
That would be funny if dude, I would have laughed so hard if the whole commercial was shot on an iPhone. Like, I would have been like, God damn it, Billy Ray Cyrus. Like, if it was all just, presented in that.
We were pulling up, and I told Max we were going to talk about this.
Oh, man. Hey, we didn't talk about it for a long time.
Yeah, actually, we're busting the streak because we haven't really brought it up in several episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was in a Super Bowl commercial, so I think that joke is pretty timely. So, yeah, we'll let it die for a while, and then he'll do something else, and we'll rip on lives.
He performed at the Grammys too.
He did
Oh,
perform
shit.
at the Grammys. Man.
Did he, or did he just play his guitar in bed?
I don't know.
and
I
send
just
it
read
to
that. I have no idea if it's actually
Just a
true.
hologram of him on the couch.
He sent his gardener to do it. He's like, Edgar. He's like, I need you to go down there to the Grammys.
And then he didn't play a show because it was raining.
That's true. They shut that show down because it was raining.
Billy Ray's guitar
yeah.
doesn't want to get struck by lightning.
TheNugNation.com. Check it out. Did I get everybody except for the most important?
Yeah.
The last but most. Big shout out to our patrons, the people back us on patreon.com/mfruckus. You guys make the goddamn world go round. We're getting ready to fly Tony in for some shows that we're doing in March, as I mentioned. We got this awesome live streaming camera. We're going to start live streaming our shows. We will get the audio figured out, I promise. We're just, right now, just kind of banging around on the internet and seeing what happens. So we'll get it worked out. It's
What do
gonna
you
be
want
bitchin'.
from us?
What do you want?
What do you want from us?
I think probably what it just...
That Mark Maron, he's doing good things.
That Mark Maron. You know, I was listening to your show, Mark, and I like it. It's very funny. I don't care for the colorful language. I'm going to be honest with you. But, hey, I just, it's a different time, and I understand that. Yeah, shout out
Take
to
it
our
away,
patrons. Shout out to our patrons. Thank you so much for your support, man.
You're
Means
welcome.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for your support month after month. One of my favorite patrons, because you're also a patron who's involved in shit, like doing art for us. That's really cool. Don't let me forget to grab your record before we leave.
I won't. I won't.
So yeah, thank you so much to our patrons. If you want to help us make cool shit and get access to early stuff, go to patreon.com/mfruckus.
That shit's
Any old who. What were we talking about?
we should.
Sepultura?
Yeah.
Oh, Sepultura.
The whole time, these guys have been like cutting slivers of Laffy Taffy.
Dude,
I know,
I
love it.
love that you're eating
It's
Laffy
great.
Taffy with a knife.
Yeah, just
It's hard to rip.
That's like the toughest
I
thing.
wanted to share.
this is not the first time you've done this, right?
Usually I freeze it and then I just break
Yeah.
chunks off.
Oh, like eating a big hunk.
Yeah.
Eating a big hunk.
Or Charleston Chew.
Or
is where I
Charleston
would have gone.
I have a good Laffy Taffy story. I wasn't supposed
Please.
to have any candy at the swimming pool when I was a kid, and I got
And they sell it at the
got-
swimming pool.
and they
They
do.
do.
Sell lots of candy.
Yes, they do.
I got the Laffy Taffy because I love it, and my tooth came out in it.
Oh. An adult tooth or a baby
It
tooth?
was a baby tooth.
Oh, did you think that God was punishing you?
No, but it was really hampering my enjoyment to have the blood taste in there with the
yeah.
grape taste. It wasn't too good.
Hey, let's talk about dental pain. All right. So on my 26th birthday, Logan and we were at a party at Logan's house, and we were standing on the roof, smoking cigarettes after drinking all night. And I'm standing on the roof, and I'm a little drunk because it's my 26th birthday, and I slipped on some ice, and I kicked myself in the face.
Shit.
Do you don't remember that? Oh. I slipped in some ice, and I kneed myself in the face.
That
like,
is awesome.
really, really hard. Like, I was like drunk enough that I was like flexible, and like I fell just right, and my knee came up, and it smashed me in the teeth, and it hit my teeth so hard that it knocked them loose. And for a month, I couldn't eat hardly anything because every time I would bite, like I couldn't eat a sandwich. If I bit down into a sandwich, it
Squishy
just,
tooth.
stories about people getting their teeth knocked out in bar fights or something like that. I'm like, how bad did that hurt? Because
Probably less because it's gone.
they just came right out.
Yeah, because
You-
it's not there pressing on whatever nerve anymore.
You think just like loosened up ouchy teeth hurts more than getting your teeth knocked out?
I for sure think that.
Dude, that's like, I wonder
Sprain hurts way more than
where pain ranks in the hierarchy of people's fears. Like the worldwide fear hierarchy. You know what I
I
mean?
have nightmares about it.
It is pretty
Yeah.
high up in mine.
Yeah, way up there on mine.
Like number one is like public speaking, number two is death, and like I'll bet number three is dental pain.
Yeah.
Taxes.
Taxes.
Death, not so much for me. Accidentally eating mustard, that's up there.
Okay, let's talk about her.
No, but I had an extraction recently, and to jump back to that Ren and Stimpy shit, but they pulled it out, and I was like, I want to see it, you know, I'm gross, so I was like, let me check it out, and she showed it to me, and it had like the little red nerve sticking out of it, and I could feel like if I was watching a movie, I could feel the camera like zoom into my brain and go, and watching Ren and Stimpy or cartoons and those.
The Ren and Stimpy episode where he loses all his teeth and it's just the nerves wiggling back and forth, and the audio is someone just fucking pulling across a violin all wrong.
Exactly. And just those like very extra detailed stills that they did, you know?
Yeah.
Those were like the things in nightmares back then, but I loved them.
Right.
But yeah, that was my. As soon as you guys were talking about Ren and Stimpy, I was like, I gotta come back to this once we can.
And that comes full circle. Leave it to dental pain to bring you back to Ren and Stimpy. Can you imagine what it was like before the invention of Novocaine and like laughing gas, nitrous oxide, that laughing gas stuff? Can you imagine what it was like before anesthetic when like and here's the other thing too, is you didn't go to a dentist for a regular checkup. You went to like a barber dentist surgeon. Like you went to a barber dentist surgeon who like put like a rag of ether in your face and then just like yanked your tooth out once it had gotten to the point that it was rotting your face out and you were risking getting an infection in your brain before they even knew what an infection was.
Some people are allergic to shit like that, so they still go through that. You know, some people can't.
They can't have anesthetic.
They can't have anesthetic or Novocaine or any of that. So when they have dental problems, it's just like back to the old days and let's get that fucker out of there.
That's like being allergic to blowjobs. Like seriously, it's like you go through your whole life just like, do you have any allergies? No. It's like I can eat everything. I've been able to take every kind of drug, and then somebody does a test on you, you have some kind of reaction to something, they go, we've got bad news for you, man. You know that chemical that makes all pain go away? You go, well, you're allergic to that. Oh my God, what else did we find from the test? You're also allergic to the single most pleasurable thing on the planet, a blowjob. How can you be allergic to blowjobs? I don't know. You're the first person that has ever failed that part of the test.
She's like, wow, you're getting really big. Wow, you're getting really big. Wow, I need to call an ambulance for you because
it's swelling.
Violet. Not a fucking children's movie.
Oh, take her to the juicing room right away. Oof. Dude, can you imagine that? It would be like have you guys watched any of the new Curb Your Enthusiasm?
yes.
No.
The new oh my God.
It's amazing.
The
It's
new
so
season
good.
of Curb Your Enthusiasm is fucking awesome.
I tried to finish it up last night, but
It's so good. So
I need
topical.
to go revisit the original seasons because I wasn't a fan when I was younger.
I don't think I've ever even seen a full
You
season.
you can drop in anywhere with that show.
Okay.
You really
Because
can.
pretty
yeah.
much whatever I mean, it's like Seinfeld in that way. Like it does follow a season-long plot line, but it's always very like relevant and timely. Like it's always whatever's going on at the time.
It doesn't help that Larry David looks like Bernie Sanders' twin brother.
And, like if you put like Bernie Sanders in a taffy stretching machine, and like pull them out, it's like you got Larry David now.
You brought it back around twice because that sounds like a reference.
Well,
from
in the new spoiler alert, in the new Curb Your Enthusiasm, there's a scene where Cheryl has an allergic reaction to talcum powder because Larry powders his balls when she comes over to the house because he's been working out and his crotch is all sweaty. She like runs over and grabs some fucking talcum powder from JB Smooth's character, which is he's fucking hilarious, all right. But then he goes back and finds out that Cheryl's allergic to talc while she's giving him a blowjob, and she has an allergic reaction to it. It's pretty fucking funny. Like, that's great shit. I never would have thought of that in a million years. But I'm thinking about that, but like reverse.
Something tells me Larry David thought, like, what if somebody was allergic to blowjobs? How would you be allergic to it? And then he like, spun that around.
Right. And she's like, oh no, I'm allergic to blowjobs. I can't get them. No, I've never had one in my life. I had one. And I ended up in the hospital for days.
It's not worth it, man.
My dick swelled up like a pineapple. My dick swelled up like when you use the birthday balloons in the water balloon fight. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. It's like when you don't have any water balloons and like you just start using the leftover birthday balloons and filling them up with water.
You know what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. That's how your penis looks when you have an allergic reaction
I
to
know.
a blowjob.
I know. I'm having one right now.
You're having an allergic reaction.
Dealing with jock itch on my dick as we speak.
Currently.
Looks like a marshmallow you put in the microwave.
I had to explain to Sarah that balls and penises itch all the time. Like, she didn't know that. Like, I was like, you didn't know that? Because she was like, curious about why my son like scratches his crotch so much. She's like, oh my God, I'm worried that he has something. I'm like, no, that's just a thing that he's going to do forever.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, you can't stop playing with it because it feels fucking amazing. Second of all, you can't stop. I almost feel like the pleasurable side of it is nature's way of saying, look, I know I made this area of your body itchy as hell. I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll also make it feel amazing when you reach down to scratch it. Yeah. It's equally
Itchy,
pleasurable.
humid, and awesome.
Yeah.
Itchy and awesome. That's another name for a fucking album title right there. No, I had to explain to her. I was like, oh yeah, dicks and balls itch all the time. She's like, why?
Like constantly.
And she's like, why?
Because
I'm
it's
like,
all on the outside.
It's all on the outside.
It's just sticking to everything.
And sweat and hair
It's just
and just like little tiny
pokey
microscopic
and
folds. Like as I'm calling attention to it.
Hands fit weird. They just smash everything.
Oh yeah, they the little curves like pinch and stuff like that.
Wow, we really got it rough, huh, fellas?
Not to mention the hairs that get stuck all over the place.
Oh yeah. Have you guys ever shaved yourself?
Never.
Never? Now, you're a hairy dude too.
Scary.
You're like me. You're a little otter, dude.
I trimmed in my late teens, early 20s because I was stupid. Because when you I have hair here and there, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But like when you trim and you have like a little bit of hair here and a lot of bit of hair here, it just looks like a fucking plane runway.
There's that David Tell joke where he's talking about, he's like, it looks like a garbage fire broke out in your pants.
For me, it was always a fear of like the grow back period of like if you shaved it, then
you're right to have that fear. You know?
Itches so bad.
You're right to have that fear.
I cut it down, but I never go like all the way. I never go like baby smooth.
It's always good to use a guard. Always use the guard.
Yeah.
Gordo, I don't remember. You're gonna have to help me. Have I told my pube shaving story?
Oh yeah.
Have I done it more than once?
Yeah. Well, 1.5 times.
One and a
You
half
did
times?
an abridged version once.
Okay. Man, I'm glad you remember. All right. If anybody wants to hear the pube shaving story, you can go back to an earlier episode.
Or the jerking off in a bag of chips story.
Oh jeez.
Or hey, I'll probably only tell that one once. That's a deep cut, man. No, but you're right to have the fear of
It's
shaving
itchy.
your balls and having the grow back.
Yeah.
Because what happens is it grows back and it's got a flat edge to it instead of having like the tapered edge that like naturally growing hair would have. And it's just like, it's like getting tattooed with a guitar string.
yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, it's like
On
getting
your inner
tattooed.
thighs, all
Yeah,
day.
constantly
All
in your
day.
butt crack,
Yeah.
in the creases of your balls. Here's another one.
Behind the bar, whatever you're doing, it's just like you're talking to somebody. You're constantly just like, oh, my groin areas.
All I want to do is go home
You're trying to just
and
shift.
rub
See if
lotion.
you can
Yeah.
catch your pants right and
Dude, and it's like, here's the other thing that people don't talk about with is it's almost like your penis is a circus performer laying on a very tiny bed of nails that happens to be a beanbag. Like a beanbag of nails. Like, no, it's like your penis is doing a circus performer trick on a beanbag cactus. Is what it is. Because the hair on your balls grows back in, and it's
Perchance on
super
acid
strong.
during this experience.
Say what?
Gordo, you think I should roll another one?
It's true. It's like, and this just occurred to me. One of the worst parts is it's like you shave that stuff and it grows back in, but people forget that their penis rests on their balls all day long, right? Rests on your balls all day long.
Not everybody's.
Not everybody. Well, if your hair
Yours and mine,
if
sure.
your hair is naturally grown in, it's more like your penis is growing. It's more like your penis is resting on a beanbag made out of a bearskin rug. It's like very comfy. It's like sipping hot cocoa by a fire. It's very comfy. It's nice. It's a warm little cushiony place for your penis to lay. But when you shave it and it grows back in, it's those little tiny sharp-edged cocksuckers just constantly
Cock pokers.
poking the bottom side of your wang all day long.
You just called your ball hair cocksucker.
You know what you call it? You called it what, the cock prickers?
Cock pokers. Cow pokers.
Yeah, man. It's like I saw a bed of nails trick once, and that's like immediately what popped into my head, man. I was like, that's what my penis feels like.
That's immediately what popped into your head?
Immediately. Immediately. Yeah, man. It's awful. It's the worst.
Fair enough.
Off mic,
Don't
since
trim-
just because
don't
I
trim
So
your
I've
dick
made a
hair.
good choice so far.
Yeah, you have.
I'm
Just
proud
leave
of
it
my.
alone. Let it grow.
Okay, let's rank everybody on the podcast in order of hairiness. Okay, so obviously Jay is the hairiest guy in the room.
Not if you get my clothes off.
Are you bald from the beard down?
My legs are surprisingly unhairy. My chest
Same
is not
here.
hairy.
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't. It's like Pickle has that fucking like sweater
Yeah,
vest.
Pickle's got a
underneath
furry
everything.
whole like. He
Dude.
looks like a little critter. He's
I love
very hairy.
surprisingly hairy people.
He looks like a
you look at them,
werewolf.
They can't even grow a mustache. Like they've got like 3 hairs on their face.
Pickle's been going bald since he was like 16.
I know he's got, but then he takes off his shirt and it's just taco meat city.
Dude, he's
Dude.
covered in hair.
That's hilarious.
From like his knees to his fucking neck. It's just like it's like a jumper.
Yeah.
That's,
Like a pube.
that's good. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though.
Little
It's
a
a
good
good
sound
look.
effect. I hope the people like listening to the stream are getting the sound effects. I don't know if those are coming
Let
through
us
the
know
tape
if you
now.
are.
I got
Yeah.
another.
Let us know in the comments if you're hearing all the sound effects.
Hearing the Ren and Stimpy sound effect.
That's so good.
I got another friend who's like Pickle, but he's got like jet black hair. So he takes his t-shirt off. Like we go to the skate park sometimes, and he takes his shirt off, and I'm like,
Did you
fuck?
did
Like,
you put on a sleeveless?
Yeah, he's like still wearing. It looks like a full shirt. Like,
The Tom Jones tuxedo,
Yeah.
as it's called.
thick hair. Holy
thick
fuck, dude.
black hair. He looks like a what's that fucking magazine? The World News.
Yeah.
Bad boy gets married.
Yeah.
My body
Wolfman
body
at
hair.
Denver skate park.
My body hair looks like have you ever seen an illustration of the migration of human beings on the planet Earth over time? Where like there's
It all
just
leaves
like
your head.
yeah. So it's just like you have, but it looks like all of human civilization started in my crotch. That's what it looks like. It looks like the first civilizations were located right here in this region around this small mountain range. And it's like, and then there's just like trails of where they immigrated to different areas. And it's like some of these people settled here in the thigh area.
That sound effect
some of
with
these,
the word
you know,
trails.
Then there was the tribes of valley dwellers that moved in the butt cheeks over here. And there's not much a lot going on here on the lower back, so this is pretty scarcely populated. And then it moves all the way up the chest, and of course this is like, you know, ample peaks here. There's a lot of resources in this area up in the chest. And then there was a huge population explosion up around the face. Unfortunately, the top of the region has since become uninhabitable, and we're starting to see large populations of people starting to move down towards the south, just because it's frankly uninhabitable up there. So like in another, like basically what if you were to watch like a time lapse of that, you would see like the different civilizations retreating from the top of my head down my face. So yeah, I would say I'm probably the second hairiest guy in the room.
Okay.
I would say Max is probably the third hairiest guy in the room. Although, how's your chest?
I might be a shockingly unhairy person. I don't have the classic butt hair that everyone does have.
I have a butt halo.
I ain't got no butt hair either.
Yeah.
You got no butt hair?
He's got the,
I mean, Logan's still pretty baby faced.
I am. And,
He's got the
legs,
least amount of
legs,
facial
arms.
hair.
yeah.
just
I'm not a very hairy
groin,
individual.
face, and head. That's
Yeah.
all I got.
Yeah.
I would,
Not even a whole lot.
but I would say that you are more hairy than Gordo and Logan. Now, here's where the debate's going to come up. Who's next, Logan or Gordo, for the least hairy person? Because Gordo does have a beard, but he's also bald on top. I don't know what the rest of his body looks like compared to Logan, who has
You've thought
long.
about it before.
You've thought. When I've imagined
Is
scenarios.
this the part where we all take our clothes off?
Take our
Here we
clothes
go.
off. See, I'm not very. How are you
It's so
in the
cold
torso?
in here.
How are you in the torso, Gordo?
It's about. I would say it's moderately hairy.
Okay.
A fair amount of back hair going on.
I'm wearing overalls.
Now Logan has very long hair, and he has this what he calls a beard right here.
I don't call it a beard.
You
It's just
suggested he called it a
There.
Actually, your beard has really been coming in. It does look nice.
It's just long
Welcome
and
to Men
square.
Complimenting Each Other's Beards. Today we're joined by.
I'm okay with taking the, last seat in the hairiest guy.
You don't mind losing that one. Oh yeah,
There it is.
dude, you're not that hairy on the torso. And by the way, the overalls no shirt combo is fucking awesome. I
Figured
think.
I'd do it
Punk
just for the
City.
live stream.
Oh yeah, that's great.
You're
That's
welcome.
good. You're welcome, people.
This
at home.
show's getting
Jay, do you want to trade
sexy.
spots? You
And
want-
then it got flagged. No, that looks good. That's a good look, man.
Yeah.
No, see, okay, so then the hierarchy goes like this. It goes,
My legs are less hairy.
I would say it goes Jay, Aaron, Max, Gordo, Logan, in order from hairiest to least
Probably a
hairy.
few.
Maybe.
All right.
Write your thoughts in the comments.
I mean, I got a little
Let us
bit.
know.
Go through that.
I got some under
Yeah,
there,
a little-
not much.
Little armpit hair.
Yeah.
So, Jay, what are you going to do now that that you're moving out of that? Like, do you have another opportunity that's coming up that is leading you away from being the curator over there at True?
No, I just don't want so much shit to do.
That is, dude, you kind of, especially when you got a kid, man, you got to
I
let a
want to
couple things
spend
go.
time with my family, and I'm not doing a good job at it anymore because I don't care.
Chase two rabbits, catch none, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's not fair to the space or the people who want to show there that I continue to do it because I just don't care.
So what's going to occupy the largest percentage of your art time? Like aside from
tattooing
family time.
already does occupy the main, tattooing and basically this,
Right.
basically working with you guys and then tattooing are the two things that occupy most of my art time.
How much freelance stuff are you doing right now? Like how much
Not
stuff are you
much.
doing for hire? Mostly it's tattooing that's paying your bills
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
mostly tattooing.
Well, I love your
And you-
stuff.
And then you guys.
I love that
you know,
fucking
I'm-
tattoo, man. That's fun.
I work the most on this stuff right now.
Right.
Um,
On our stuff?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Outside of tattooing, that's my main freelance gig. I have little projects in, various stages of completion at all times, and I have probably more things that I forgot I'm supposed to do or said I was gonna do than I'm working on. But
Dude, I love this stuff. I want to frame this stuff and I don't know,
yeah, I mean,
keep
if
some of it, give some of it away.
it's
This
just
is
gonna
beautiful
occupy
stuff.
space. Send stuff to Tony. I'll give you the Matula drawing
Dude,
when we decide what we're doing with that.
I think we should just make unauthorized merchandise.
I think so.
I feel like
I don't know Jerry, so I don't want to.
well, how
definitely
mad
weigh
is he
in on
gonna
it.
be if we make 30 T-shirts and we
I
don't
think-
sell any of
I
them?
think you should put an MF Ruckus logo on the chest and put that graphic on the back.
That's a cool idea. Like
I
that
would
would
do
just
them.
be in,
I would do them white with blueprint.
That's like
Old school plumbing T-shirt. Just
that's
fucking
really cool.
Get it done.
I like that idea, and just like sell that at our merch, like,
Yeah.
or not even sell it, just like give it away at the merch table.
Yeah.
Actually, I wonder what Jerry would think if he found out we were just like made 30 T-shirts that like rep his business with the logo that he didn't want, but we think is hilarious and needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I don't want to do it because I don't know Jerry. You can do it.
I'm gonna hit Jerry
I would
up.
be happy if you guys did it. I think it would be awesome.
I'm gonna hit Jerry up.
Or even do licensed, like MF Ruckus, Matula plumbing
shirts. I'll bet
And
he'd
just
go
do a
for it.
limited run.
I'll bet he'd go for it. I'll bet if I called him up and I was like,
35 or 40,
dude,
whatever.
we love the shirt that Jay Partylord did for you. Can we please make it?
Sorry, it looks like the Batman logo or whatever.
We'll just give it away to people who like listen to the podcast.
Yeah, what was his deal with the graphic? What
He just didn't like the way the logo looked. He thought it looked like
thinks
the
it looks like
Batman
the
logo.
Batman logo. And he's not
Batman logo?
He's not wrong. It looks like the original, kind of like the original Batman logo because my style's a little cartoony.
Right.
But it's like a Metallica ripoff. But
And it's super rad.
yeah, it's really simplified and like bold, but it kind of is too curvy. I think.
I think it's. Super
I don't
fun.
think
like it.
Jerry needs to be involved in his own art department.
It's like you
that's
deal with the plumbing side of the
I mean, I'm
business.
sorry, I don't know you, Jerry. I know you probably don't even listen to this podcast.
I don't think he does.
But you should not be involved with your creative decisions.
Knowing Jerry, we would probably have to explain what a podcast is. He'd be like, "So, what is it? It's
You just, like sit around and talk.
it's like a pretend radio show. Is that what it is?
I've
You
had
guys
this
sit around.
conversation with people.
Hey, you know,
it's like Seinfeld. You just sit around and talk to each other about nothing.
yeah, my kids,
Farts and shit.
my kids, you know, they used to make radio shows. I mean, they were children, but it's adorable that you guys do it as adults. That's cool, man. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should just do it without permission. I don't know. Max, what do you got? What are you working on, man? What's going on? What's new for you? What's besides the freelance stuff? What's your big projects you got coming down the pike?
I mean, kind of just everything's in the freelance world right now. That's my main form of income. I got some fun skateboards coming out for a relatively large company that I'm very excited about.
Are you able to announce it yet or no?
I don't know if I can yet, but
Because the ink, you haven't signed any ink to it yet.
I mean the files are in their hands and they're gonna make them, and then once they're released, I can.
That's really fun.
That's when I feel comfortable.
They may be a monster of some kind.
It's So that's
A
been
behemoth.
that's
A behemoth.
That's really cool, man.
that's been the big
Skateboarding
exciting thing
world.
for me is it's kind of
Gotcha.
it's a company I grew up riding, so
Dude, and you know it's good because you can't talk about it.
yeah.
That's like what you want most for your friends.
Yeah.
Is may you have things that you can't talk about. May you have irons in the fire that you can't talk about.
Yeah.
That's like anytime you hear that happening to a friend, they're like, "Well, I've got this thing coming up that I'm not supposed to talk about." You're like,
The graphics are really
"Good for
cool.
you."
They're
Good for
really-
you.
They're really fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
I'm just
I'm
gonna
like-
say that about everything I do from now on.
Yeah.
My band does.
Well, I can't
I can't really
That's how you
talk
sound.
about.
I can't really talk about
I can't really talk about what we're not doing. I mean, what we're doing.
Dude, just do that. Just do that in daily life, just to build intrigue around your life. It's like people go, "How was your weekend?" Just go, "I can't really talk about it."
Do you got any
It does.
shows?
Why?
No, it,
What
it
happened?
is cool though. It is
That
cool
sounds
that
like there's a court case.
There's
It sounds like you had to get a lawyer about
That's
that.
Yeah, I guess
fine.
you have a
Sounds
good
like you
point there,
don't.
Jay. I mean, like that's like okay, so like, is that bad not talking about it, or is it good not talking about it? I don't know.
I think that's fine. I think that's fine
It's a
because it
level of
gets people
mystery.
asking questions. They're like, "Is it something good? Is it something bad? Oh my God, what kind of secrets does he have going on in his life?"
Yeah,
Like,
man.
I think it gives.
I'm
you-
excited for him because I can talk about literally everything.
For now.
Right on.
But here, but dude, like we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, like the feeling of sometimes feeling like things plateau or that nothing's going on. Dude, you were like building a body of work that is so impressive.
I'm fine with that too.
Like the stuff, there's the stuff you've been doing for us. There's there's all that. There's like all the, but going to your tattoo space and seeing just the shit up on the walls that you've been doing for people. Like, dude, I was actually gushing to Melon about how much I like your workspace.
Nice.
Like going in there and just seeing all your art everywhere and being like, holy fuck, dude, this guy is so prolific. He does so much
This
stuff.
guy's gramming hard over here. He's gramming hard.
Yeah.
I'm not. I update maybe every 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you look at that, you know, like it's just a cascade of.
Yeah.
Just the walls in the shop are a cascade too.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's really cool.
I just try to be doing things, and like I think I try to forward. I try to put that vibe out to people that I take this seriously as not only a craft, but I want to do good work. And like I think when you put that behind it, people trust you a little bit more because they're like, okay, like you have some sort of self-confidence in what you're doing.
Right.
And also I just think like there's a lot of tattoo shops that you go into where there's none of that shit, and like that's not the part of tattooing I want to be a part of. Like I want to be a part of the artisans and the craftsmen and the people who are like taking it seriously and trying to push it forward, but also maintain some of the like roots that are important and some of those ideas and concepts that are important to the thing. And like I think that crosses a lot of boundaries in terms of music and art in general and any creative spaces.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we make the mistake of pursuing the hit, pursuing a success, rather than the pursuit of building and aggregating a body of work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And a body of work takes a lifetime.
Or we're looking for the
create.
one spot to get over the wall.
Right.
That's perfect instead of slowly building a staircase to get over the wall.
But the one spot always appears randomly when you're.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder to catch.
Yeah, but when it happens, you're like, holy shit. And then you kind of have the realization that you got there, you know, on purpose. You're like, oh, wait, this does seem like a random thing, but I've put in 4 years worth of endless work.
Yeah.
It's a natural occurrence considering what I've put into this.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich column, which is an interesting book that people should read.
Yeah,
if they can get past the cultural context of the content,
and if they can get past the, I don't know if you saw, not too long ago, a bunch of stuff came out about Napoleon Hill.
No, I didn't.
About him kind of being a flim-flam man. Now, you know, this is also in a time where we are learning a lot more about a person's complete character. You know, and I think we as a society are learning how to deal with a person's complete character.
It's hard when your heroes fall.
You know,
you realize they're fallible.
Right. There's that term, fundamental attribution error, which is like a term I heard from Malcolm Gladwell, where he talks about we often take attributions about people and assume that that is their fundamental essence. You know, it's like, oh, that person is generous. It's everything about them. When in actuality, people are from moment to moment generous,
and they're generous
malevolent,
to you for
angry, you know, apathetic, you know, awkward, like any attribution you can think of. Like there's so many multiple dimensions to a person.
Napoleon Hill wasn't. I don't want to.
No, he's not a perfect.
I don't want to give him the pedestal. The concept is.
Well, he put a lot.
That failure shouldn't halt you in your path and cause you to stop trying things. Failure should be looked at as opportunities to learn.
Right.
Or learn what works, learn what doesn't work, or learn what you need to do next. And you shouldn't be daunted by the fact that not everything is going to work.
Right.
So just continue working and try to take little bits of like what worked here,
next time,
what worked here.
Well, and just because he has a checkered background is no reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say and throw out everything else that he said, because he did say, and I think the quote you're talking about is, every setback or every failure carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. You know, it's like even when you fuck up, that is going to give you the necessary tool, information that you need to do it differently the next time that you go through. You know, Go out and eat shit as much as you possibly. It's like being a stand-up comedian, you know. Go out and eat shit as much as you possibly can.
You can't do it without fucking eating shit. Like that's one of those things that I don't know if you've had this experience or not, but like people always talk to me and they're like, "Oh, you're so talented at art. Like you must be like just a natural." And I'm like, "No, man. This is 30 fucking years of me trying shit, sucking at everything, but wanting to do this more than I want to do anything else."
Yeah, you know how many like different styles you try and attempt and different types of art. You're like, oh, like I really want to fucking paint. You're like, I actually kind of suck at this medium really, really
Right.
bad.
Yeah, I'm like, drawing is not a thing you can't learn to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to go out and have those experiences where you want to quit, because that's what's going to build up your perseverance. That's what's going to build up your threshold for.
Yeah.
That's
Those are
where
cool
you learn
too.
a lot about yourself.
Yeah,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
for sure.
If you are
For
willing
sure.
to go back to that after like blowing it and being super bummed, and you're like, well, that really fucking sucked and kind of broke my spirit. You're like,
That's
but I still want to keep fucking trying it.
how you
That's-
know it's
right.
the thing you should be doing.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I've blown it 100 different times.
Hey,
Like,
man, when I was a screen printer, the dude who replaced me was like miserable the whole time I trained him. And when he got done, he was constantly just like, "Why do you just let me fuck shit up?" I'm like, "Because you remember now not to do that.
Yeah.
You remember the thing I told you to do.
Why would you
afterwards
rob
or
people of
before."
their destiny?
Like, because my training wasn't good because I knew everything right away. It was good because I fucked up a ton of shirts, pants, everything. I've ripped hoodies in half, fighting them off the press and thrown shit across the room.
Right.
It was not without its struggle.
well, that's like,
Struggle is part of the important part.
those are super important. Those moments when you fuck things up. And like when I was younger in high school, I was an airbrush artist on the beach, like in the fucking Lost Boys, pretty much. And
In Maine.
I like, yeah,
Max is
and-
from Maine.
yeah, I'm from Maine.
Do you know Kiefer Sutherland?
Yes.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, and you know, there were times where my boss, I was a young kid, but I was still working with the product that he had to buy, and he's like, well, if you fuck up a shirt, you got to pay for it, and that's how you learn very quickly. Like, man, I don't know what I did last time, but I am now losing like $40 a week, you know.
Well, you can quantify your progress at that
Yeah.
point.
Well, and then you ask the guy next to you, you're like, "Hey, how did you do that? Can I watch you next time you do that?"
Right.
That gives you motivation to learn new things.
Yeah.
and
There's
learn
a,
new skills.
There's a theory in the clinical side of psychology that basically says if you solve people's problems for them, they're liable to resent you rather than thank you.
Yeah.
You know, really what a lot of the therapeutic model is just holding space for people to come in and work their problems out on their own.
Yeah.
You know, ask them the right questions so that they tap into their own resources and they make it fucking happen.
Let people have an experience.
Right, because that's part of what we talked about earlier in the show, which was, you know, our intrinsic drive for meaning. And when we figure things out on our own, that gets locked away in that part of our brain that is the narrative of our life. You know, that is the story of our life. Then it's one of those milestone moments of like, and then just when I thought I was ready to give up, this happened, or this turned around, or this is what it actually turned out to be. And if you don't allow people to have those experiences, you're essentially moment by moment preventing them from having a meaningful life.
Yeah. You're like castrating their soul.
Yeah, and keeping them from becoming the enriched human being they will be eventually. And that is a terrifying thing when I think about my kid.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to come up.
You know, because I want to give him as much information as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But I also know that the things that I went through that I would not wish on my son, you know, the mistakes I made that I would not wish on my son, for better or worse, you know, I like who I am most days.
Yeah.
And I want him to go through the experience of reaching the edge of the abyss of his darkness and then coming out and becoming a better person because of it.
For sure.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to know about it.
You
though.
want to keep him close enough to the abyss edge to teach him some shit, and you want to keep them reined in enough that they don't fall all the way in.
And that's terrifying. You know?
Yeah, for sure, man.
It's like I'm watching.
I'm a year ahead of you.
Yeah. I'm watching Sarah struggle with, you know, she is admitted herself that having a kid has made her kind of a germaphobe. You know, like she's afraid of things like that happening, and it's like I'm afraid of it too. I don't want him to get sick. Little images of him just dying in random tragedies pop in my head.
Sick yet?
He hasn't gotten like badly sick, but he's had a couple nights where he seemed just off and he was a little needier than usual, and I think that's like
as long as they're eating.
Yeah. No,
he's
eating.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Like she's had fevers for a week and a half. She got the flu this last year, and like it sucks and it's scary, but also you're just like, okay, like we just keep an eye on it.
Right.
If you gotta go to the hospital, you go to the hospital.
Yeah.
If you gotta fucking do something, you do something.
You've got to go through it in order to develop that.
You know, there was like a day and a half, 2 days where she's vomiting constantly.
That's terrifying, dude.
Barfing all over the place, all over herself, all over everything else, and you're just like, oh man. You just look at this miserable little person who has no concept of what's going on, and you're like, fuck, I wish I could
take it away,
do something or take it away, and I can't, and this is gonna be fine.
Oh, we're gonna be inconsolable the first time he gets really sick.
Yeah. Well, and my Sarah was also the first, just terrified, just panicking.
Yep.
And I'm asking people who we know, and I'm like, what do you think? And they're like, just as long as she's eating and she's not super lethargic, she should be exhausted, but not like super lethargic. She's all right.
The troublesome parts notwithstanding, one of the great things about the age that we live in is just how much information there's access to. You know, how many resources are there. You can pretty much get an answer to anything, any problem that poses you within a few minutes.
Yeah.
If you dig deep enough or ask the right person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's
don't ask WebMD because it's always fucking cancer.
Actually, I mean, I've had, I've heard therapists straight up say like, hey, you've got to go on a news fast, or you've got to go on a social media fast, or you've got to go on just an information fast.
Yeah, put your phone down.
Yeah, put your phone down and stop looking up stuff that's going to give you a panic attack, because if you look for it, you'll find it.
Yeah. Oh, that shit's terrifying, too. I can't tell you how many times I was like, I have random, very common ailments, and they're like fucking pancreatic cancer, brain cancer, everything. I'm like,
it can be this, or it can be cancer. Yeah, man.
It's either diagnosable.
7-Eleven taquitos, and now your stomach hurts.
It's easily diagnosable, and you can solve it with a Tums, or you might have ass cancer.
Which is only certain good parts of.
Yeah, you might have.
You don't want any of the bread.
Yeah, taquiditis is. You don't want taquiditis.
Taquiditis, acute taquiditis is
taquidosis.
Every day, millions of Americans are affected by acute taquidosis.
There's a little bit of that in here when I first walked in.
Yeah.
Oh, taquidosis?
Yeah.
Dude, I get it a lot. What would you call it from chicken wings? Because all I eat is fried food 5 days a week.
Oof.
Like, I get it for free. You know what I mean?
Brown
just
food.
Greasy gut. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a scare last year where I had been getting heart palpitations.
Tight.
And I was at work, and I was getting head rushes, and I got really scared, and I went to the hospital. Unfortunately, I have insurance through my job, and I went, and they were just asking me kind of what my diet was like, what some of my habits were like, and changes. And I was like, well, I did start drinking this CBD coffee, and she said, that's what it is.
Yeah. Definitely.
She's like you're just having a reaction. The additional substance in the coffee acts as a catalyst. People think it smooths it out, but
it doesn't.
The two drugs just act as a catalyst for one another, and
they just magnify the effects.
But then, and that was like a relief. But then, of course, she does the thing that they do in the medical field now, which is like, But for $9.99.99, I can tie you up to every machine in this room, and we can run every diagnostic test.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie, take him to the showroom and show him the
We can run
fMRI
you
machine.
through emissions.
Dude, that shit happened to me in the fall. Right after Number the Beast, I woke up and I had this like super bad stomach cramp. I like couldn't like move. I'd get up. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I went down to urgent care and they were like, oh yeah, like you either just have like a stomach ache or like it might be this one bacterial infection, but we can only tell you it's that if you go to the ER and do this and this. You get like MRIs,
worth of tests.
dude, $4,000 worth of shit for like
Right.
they were like, oh yeah, you have a bacterial infection in your intestine and you take this antibiotic for 4 days and you're done. I was
Right.
like,
So you did it.
yeah.
You did all the
I
tests.
had to go because they were like, it was going on for like a week and I was like, holy shit. They're like, we can only prescribe you the antibiotics if you go do all this shit. I
That
was like,
sucks because you're like scared and
Yeah.
you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, fucking
Yeah, you'll
money
do it.
and
Yeah,
my
they
health
just
is
abuse
important.
you by
Yeah.
fucking taking advantage of the fact that you're compromised by being in pain
yeah.
and feeling off, and also you're frightened.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one of those things
Those
too where
ultimate
they're like, oh yeah,
consequences.
it's a little tiny infection, but if you wait long enough, it's probably just gonna
It's gonna
fucking
kill you.
spread, and then you'll die. And I'm like, fucking WebMD
Right. It's
again.
like, well, it could be this thing. Or,
Yeah.
dude, like, I talked to you when I was on my way to urgent care.
Yeah.
Like, I recently just got a nasty fucking cold.
Yeah.
Like, really bad cold. I felt like shit.
You
and I
were
was-
just stretched out enough that it whacked your immune system.
Oh yeah, and I like I had a fever and I had a nasty throat, like you could see it. Like I did one of those. It's not WebMD. It's called Doctor on Demand. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's where like you go in and you get on a waiting list. And you like Skype with the doctor.
Yeah.
And like this lady comes on and she reads a couple things. She goes, "We cannot deal with this over the phone. You're gonna have to go to urgent care or the ER right away." And I'm like, "Well, fuck. I'm glad I waited for that."
Yeah.
But Sarah is sitting there going, "You got to go to urgent care. You got to go to urgent care. We got a baby. You got to find out what this is." And I go, "I'm gonna go. The closest one that takes my plan is 40 minutes away in Parker. I'm gonna show up there. They're gonna run a bunch of tests. They're gonna ask a bunch of questions, and they're gonna tell me to go home and take ibuprofen and sleep and drink lots of water." She goes, "Well, you need to go. We have a baby. We have a baby. Did you get your flu shot?" I'm like, "Yes, I got a flu shot. I'm good. I just have a really bad cold. And his immune system is fine because he's breastfeeding off of you. It's fine. Everything's going to be fine."
Yeah.
I drove all the way out there, 40 minutes. I went in. I did the thing. By the way, they have iPads in the waiting room. I was just thinking to myself while I was sitting there, I was like, that thing has more germs than I do.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
a bunch of grubby little kids in
iPad waiting room.
Guaranteed.
Man,
Ugh.
how hard do you think it would be to like hack the Skype a doctor thing and get your own video on it and have like a bloody apron,
Overalls, no shirt.
crazy makeup, just for the
The
fucking
old school
knife.
reflector thing
Oh,
on
yeah.
the head, you know?
So that
Yeah,
they
we
can't
can't-
quite see your face because
We can't deal with this over the phone. You're gonna have to come
You're
directly
gonna-
to my basement.
You're gonna have to come to a undisclosed warehouse in the middle of nowhere.
You're going to have to come to my home practice,
have, like, some of
which
those
is
old
in a
Frankenstein
mansion
movies.
atop a hill.
And you're
Could
gonna walk,
be- could
and you're
be
gonna
that
walk
hard.
into his basement and it's gonna play fucking Alice Cooper.
He's got a plastic cauldron with dry ice and a green light in it. It's just like bubbling out.
Sounds kind of badass.
Yeah, it does sound pretty badass.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
And then they get out there and you're like,
We
"Oh,
gotta-
I'm just
we gotta
kidding.
talk to-
I'm a weirdo on the internet.
We gotta talk.
trying to scare you."
We gotta talk to Keith about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm not even really a doctor. You should probably call back.
Are
You
you
look
sick?
really sick. Oh, get out of my house! Don't get me sick. Ooh,
Oh wait, he's really sick.
Yeah. No, so yeah, they did. Have you guys ever had a flu test before?
I don't think so.
They take a stick, and it's not a cotton swab.
Why do you gotta
They take a stick,
just immediately? They take a stick.
and they give you
Where's it going, Aaron?
they give you a pre-talk. They give you a pre-talk, and they go, "This is gonna hurt." They go, people hate this. It's going to feel like I'm going to dig around in your brain for a little bit. They're like, I'm going to stick this up my nose. I'm going to stick this up your nose. And then I'm going to go.
Total Recall.
No, and then they're like, and then I'm going to go a little further because I've got to get all the way up into your sinus cavity. And they're like, all I can tell you to do is relax. And I just closed my eyes and took a deep breath. And I was a good boy.
That bums me out so hard.
But they took the stick and they jammed it into my sinus, and then they pushed past that point, and they got like, dude, I felt it in like my tear duct, man.
No deal.
And I just had to, they pulled it out.
Nope.
And then they jammed it, and they jammed another one in my throat, and I went, ah! Oh. And they took that swab, and then they took all that away, and then a doctor came in and goes, okay, we ran the test. You came back negative for strep A and B and the 2 types of flu that we test for. Now, there are literally a million strains of flu, and we test for 2 of them. So, for all intents and purposes, you have a really bad cold. You can go home. You can take.
Doctor said you're yucky.
Yeah, you can go home. You can take Tylenol in between the ibuprofen. Your baby will be fine because he's breastfeeding and 10 months old. Because he's so young, he actually probably has a more robust immune system than either of you guys do. Just don't kiss him on the mouth. I know that's hard, but just don't kiss him on the mouth, and everything will be fine. And like,
Drink lots
I'm
of
driving
water.
home, and Sarah calls me on my way home, and I tell her all this, and she just gets kind of quiet on the other end, and she's like, "Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "No, I understand. It's fine. I'd just really like to come home and go back to bed if that's okay."
That's actually the worst thing is when you go and you get all those tests done and they don't tell you shit.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't,
Because,
give,
like,
they don't
that's-
give you anything or help at all.
Yeah, like I have this thing that happens to me where I get these flu-like symptoms and it only lasts for like 24 to 36 hours, but it's like it's a regular thing, and I tried to get it checked out. I went through this crazy blood test that cost like $2,000 or something, and
What?
and my doctor was like, "Oh
With
yeah,"
no insurance,
and he
right?
said you have it was familial Mediterranean flu, and I was like, he's like, what's your what's your ancestry? And I'm just like, I'm not from the Mediterranean.
I'm from Kansas.
I'm from Kansas, and there's a lot of Scottish in me. So it's like, no. Of course, it came back that I don't have that, and I don't have a billion other things.
Right.
So, in other words, like, sorry, dude, can't tell you shit.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
$2,000.
Yeah.
I mean, well, thankfully, I had insurance that covered, a vast
See, you never-
majority of that, but I was just like, holy fuck,
Yeah,
like,
man.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
whatever.
So stupid.
I guess I'll keep on living.
Yeah. I guess I'll just have this flu every couple weeks
Yep.
for 24
Yeah,
hours. That's
yeah.
fun.
That's
right?
it's really great.
Be sure to join us next week when we'll be talking about how unfair it is that you can only get groceries delivered to you if you have a magic phone.
Amen.
Join us next week.
Flint still doesn't have clean water.
Join us next week when we'll be talking about how they should open another window at the post office.
Oh,
It's
man.
like AM talk radio now.
Join us next week when we'll be talking about how someone should really pick this up.
Or when we talk about how kind of uncomfortable it is to shave your pubes.
Yeah. Max,
It's
do you
the
remember how we
worst.
met? Because I don't.
We met at the basement of Three Kings.
Is that when we met?
Yeah.
I kind of knew you guys.
Dude, I keep hearing these stories about people meeting in the basement of Three Kings.
We
That's
had a
really
show.
cool.
That's how I met Jake Fairley.
That's
we had a
right. You
show.
said that. It was because of you and Jake Fairley.
Yeah.
Just
That's
like
cool
art
shit.
shows down there.
Yeah,
we
we
had
had
an art show
We
one
had
year.
one art show down there.
That was like the very, very beginning of like, I was out of school and was working at Kid Robot at the time.
Yeah.
And my boss there was always encouraging me to like draw more. It was my first like, I didn't really do much illustration before that, and I was like, all right, cool. And then we were like, I was living in the neighborhood. We were like, we should try and do an art show at one of the bars over here. And I think it was maybe Joe talked to you guys and got the show lined up, and I was like, holy shit! I was like the first like, dude, art show, like this is crazy.
Dude, that's really funny.
And then it was like, Sam Turner agreed to be in it. I was like, oh my god, like this art show is with Sam Turner. Like, I've seen him do a bunch of shit, and then Joe's like, Jay Partylord is gonna be in it. I was like, holy fuck, dude! Like, I don't even like know these people, but I've known them around town.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this crazy event to be like, whoa, this is sweet. Now we're all gonna hang out. I was like super intimidated to meet everyone, and now like everybody's best friends.
Yeah.
Dude, that's one thing I really miss about that job. I don't miss the late nights. I don't miss the chaos. Well, maybe a little. I miss the chaos a little.
Yeah.
I don't miss facilitating the destruction of my fellow man, but I do miss being on the outside of the cauldron of the creative slurry, the local creative slurry.
It's really like that culture is like the fuck. I had it in my head now.
It's so cool, dude. Like when I remember you guys, like Sean and Joe, and all the other kind of up and coming like Hesh artists. You know what I mean? The rock and roll artists that were coming in. I remember seeing you guys coming in, and I remember thinking to myself, like, this is the next generation. Like, it was.
We're gonna be okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was really cool, and I mean, I think it's. I'm very flattered that it was such a big deal to you because I saw you guys as like the cool up and comers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I saw you guys as like that hip Broadway crowd. You know what I mean? And it was really fun to be a part of that, to oversee that, and to even help a few people here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, and that show is super cool too, just because, like I was saying, that was like our first intro to like. I had been in Denver for a while, but I was in school and I didn't really like know too many people.
Yeah.
Right.
Like close enough to be like, oh, like I know these people at this bar and I know all these people like who do this. Like I just was like, I walked down to Three Kings and I know you and I didn't really know many other people, so it was just this kind of crazy. That was like almost like a rite of passage into like, oh damn, I like. Feel welcome in the city, and it's super rad. And like
there was something on the Colorado original music community that got put up today, which was Jen McCrory, bless her heart, always trying to steer the conversation in like a positive direction. Shout out to Jen. She posted something. You know, she must have been seeing a whole lot of hate about something. She's like, let's stick with something positive. What do people love about our scene? She put up some posts about that today, and one thing that I love is like. I don't know how much touring you guys have done and like how much traveling you've done. I know a little bit about how much you've done, Joe, but it's like, or Jay, it's a little bit like for people who don't do it a lot, they might not know that there are few places that are as active as we are here. And, you know, we did a lot of touring and we went to some places that were bigger markets than us, LA, New York, you know, Seattle, you know, places like that. But we also went to a lot of places that would have looked at Denver as being another San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, you know. Like, we're not at the top of the list, but we are definitely in the top, like, the upper 95th percentile.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, in terms of cultural activity. I mean, I would say 95th, if not 98th percentile in terms of urban areas in the country.
For sure.
Like, we really
especially in the last decade.
Oh, yeah. It's but it's been that way for a while, even when people talk about, like, the Den Void, you know, when nothing was going on, like in the 90s and 80s and shit like that. There were still rad bands. There were still, like...
It's interesting because it's like a slightly bigger market than Milwaukee, where I grew up.
Right.
And like, there's always stuff happening, but it's not always popping off on a national scale where people are paying attention to it. Like, a lot of things don't make it out, but they're always happening. And I think that's why I came here instead of staying there. Is like it seemed like it was ripe for the change, for the boulder to roll down the hill, you know. It seemed like things were going to start building momentum when I came out here in 2010.
Right.
And it seemed like people talk about Denver being a boom and bust town all the time, and it seemed like it was about to tip into the boom area. And like it's now kind of tapering off a little bit. It feels like, at least. I don't know if it's just me. it feels
we
like
might
it's
just be acclimating to it.
It also feels a little bit like it's hitting stride now,
Right.
and like it might roll for a little while.
Right. It's
You know?
like oh God, what's the word that I'm looking for? We're reaching homeostasis.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like
we're
there's that big flare up.
We're a
and now-
national stop on tours now, like
Right.
consistently for bigger acts, and there's more bands coming out of here that are getting recognized.
Right.
People have been looking at Denver more actively because there's national acts.
We have a greater
and stuff like
bandwidth.
that.
We have a greater bandwidth for the surge of data.
For sure.
Have we reached peak Denver?
I don't think so, but we also haven't reached peak human civilization. You know what I mean? Like
No.
the civilization that will be here 1,000 years from now, on top of our old civilization, is going to be something that we can scarcely conceive of from this point in history.
Yeah.
And then 1,000 years after that, it'll be something even bigger than that. Like prime form is inevitable, but it also continues to push out into the horizon. Yeah, man. Hey, why don't we on that esoteric deep note? Why don't we call it, man?
All right.
Let's call it right there. Yeah, that's good.
Do you guys remember Battle Beasts?
I do.
You remember
Yeah,
that shit?
I do.
Battle Beasts were cool.
Let's talk about toys for a minute.
You
Let's
just
talk about
watched
Fairy
that
Clothes
fucking
thing.
the toys that made us thing, right?
No, those guys weren't on there. I was just thinking about them the other day, and I was like, them shits were cool.
Do you remember Savage Mondo Blitzers?
Savage
talking about
Mondo
those the other day.
Blitzers.
Yeah,
What?
man.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
They're more our like between mine and his generation.
Do you
They're
remember
biggest toy-
Inhumanoids?
biggest toys. No.
Oh, and human.
I mean,
Blitzers.
I know
man.
of them, but I
What?
don't.
What's a Savage Mondo blister?
Savage
Blister?
Mondo.
Blister.
I got a Savage
Blitzers.
Mondo blister on my foot.
They're like
I went
these
hiking
little.
around with my walking club.
They were like these little like monster and horror. Like one was like a knight swinging like a giant morning star mace over his head. But they
Savage
all,
Mondo.
but they all
Like-
had, they all had wheels.
They're on like hot rod skateboards,
Yeah.
straight boards.
Some of them
think
like
Always hot
think
hot
that-
rod
that sounds
skateboard.
some of them like there's a thing built into them that they're like riding, and some of them
I
are just,
remember
like,
those.
wheels.
It's like a
Yeah,
skeleton.
that
They come
sounds,
in-
that
they
sounds
come in
very familiar.
vertically,
now.
diagonally blister packed like 7-packs or whatever. and you buy a bunch of
Yeah.
them. It was during that like late 80s, early 90s boom of like little toys where you could buy a bunch like Monster in
Like
My
the Muscle
Pockets,
Man and shit?
Muscle
Like-
Man,
Muscle Man.
fucking.
Logan had all the muscle men.
Yeah, it's
He-Man,
so-
Logan.
No one had all
Battle
of them.
Beasts. Battle Beasts were part of that
whoa.
too.
It's kind of impossible.
Battle
to have
Beasts.
Battle
a
Beasts had the
muscle man.
little
Yeah.
window on the chest
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
heat
little-
activated, and you saw what element they were from.
Yeah.
Little hologram on the chest, and they were
Yeah.
all different animals.
They were like
and you-
mech suit bodies with a different animal head.
Yeah, there was a ton of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
man,
so
those were my
much of
favorite.
that, are like cartoon shows like Mask.
Yeah.
You remember
yeah,
Mask?
Yeah.
So much of that
Mask.
stuff
Yes.
informed the way I brand the band.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Where
Me
it's
too.
like- you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh,
The
this
way you
guy,
brand the band.
this guy has this guy has this power, and he has this ability.
Yeah,
and here's
man.
here's all the cool little attributes about him, and like, Logan's all, you guys do the D&D thing too.
Yeah,
That's
man.
like that's a big part of it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta
Yeah.
level up my attributes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
G.I.
it's nice.
Joe's always had the stat card on the back of the
Mhm.
blister pack.
It's nice having like a point of reference too. You're like, oh man, like this is like that one character from that one
Yeah,
toy line that was
yeah.
super fucking sweet.
Yeah, man.
Mutagen.
Fucking Dino Riders was my shit.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Dino Riders.
Like
was
anytime
fucking rad.
you hear people worrying about creating something original, it's like, dude, get over it, man. Everything is derivative.
Yeah, we've done it.
That's how
Don't worry.
primates do it, man.
We were talking
Is-
about this last time.
Yeah. It's like you see one monkey digging in a hole with a stick, and you go, that's a good idea. Maybe I can improve upon his design,
Yeah,
but at very least I'm going to copy the way that he
Yeah.
digs a hole with a stick.
Yeah.
that was a really good idea.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
working very
Yeah, yeah.
well.
Yeah, let's try it out, but give it my own spin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Dude, when I was 16, I wrote a rock opera about Buckaroo Banzai.
Whoa.
What?
It was awful. It was real bad. Really.
I'll bet
at
it was
at the time, I
amazing.
really enjoyed it.
I'll bet if you released it as a kid, people would have been like,
You're
"This
your worst
child
critic,
is
so
brilliant."
It could have
Do
been
you
great,
remember-
man.
How do you
remember
release
Bucky O'Hare?
anything when you're 16 years old?
The Space Rabbit?
To my fan
Oh yeah,
base.
Bucky O'Hare. Yeah.
Bucky O'Hare?
Sounds
Bucky
familiar.
O'Hare.
Yeah.
Dude, that Bucky O'Hare is a heavy metal comic.
Is it?
Like, or no, it's not a heavy metal comic, but it is a comic series.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like same world as like Ninja Turtles and Battletoads.
And like Howard the Duck.
And how? Yeah. It was
It's
like
just a Marvel title.
no, yeah. I
I'm
actually
excited
have
for
a
a new
couple
Howard
Bucky
the Duck
O'Hare
movie.
comics at home.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Bucky O'Hare's cool,
It's a
man.
good show.
Well, hey, thanks to everybody for listening to the podcast. Thanks for watching the live stream and being patient with us while we get the sound dialed in. It gets a little better every time, and hopefully by episode 100, which is coming right around the corner. Man, I
What are
can't
we
wait
gonna
for that.
do? We gotta
Only
think of
9
something
to
cool.
go.
I've got Mikey from the Nug Nation on the show.
Wah.
Yeah,
That'll be cool.
Mikey from the Nug
Hell
Nation
yeah.
was like, "Let me have episode 100," and I was like, "Okay."
He doesn't want episode 420.
No, oh well, it's gonna be a little bit. Yeah, let's make it to episode 100, and then we'll see how it
Cool.
goes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, who knows? If it gets too big and we do too many episodes, we might want to quit because people start actually paying attention to
I'm
it.
just throwing and playing on my
Yeah, and making demands. If it gets too big, it won't be
Are
fun.
we gonna do 2 ones for the homies?
2 ones for the homies? Yes,
Dose
actually.
for the homies?
I think that's cool.
Dose for the homies?
All right, so yeah, so Max, do you know about the one for the homies shout out?
I don't.
Okay, so every episode of the show, we give our guests the opportunity to do a one for the homies shout out, where they pick a band that they think deserves a little extra love, and we'll look it up. And on the audio version of the podcast, when we release it, Gordo will tag a song by that band on the end of the episode, so people have something to listen to while they're deciding what podcast to listen to next. So you guys are each gonna get to do a one for the homies.
Yeah, it's your first
Shout out.
time. You need a
Well,
second, or you got one?
I need a second. You gotta go first.
Okay.
I need some.
I'm gonna shout a band from Milwaukee that when I heard Warlock Pincers when I moved here,
Yeah.
I was immediately reminded of this band it's probably actually from the suburbs. I think some of the dudes are from Menominee Falls. I could be wrong about that. They're called House Cat Sized Fennec.
House cat sized fennec.
You can find them on Bandcamp. I just bought a couple of their records on Bandcamp because I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot about this band. And they're like a punk rock band, but they're like a little weird. And the song I'll probably do is called Pensacola or Bust. And it's a song about abortion clinics and Christians in the 90s.
Cool.
And it is pretty awesome.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
You get all that, Gordo?
Sweet.
You got that, Gordo?
Pensacola or
Yeah.
Bust by
I
House
got it
Cat
right
Sized
here,
Fennec.
yeah.
All right.
I think
Sounds good.
Gordo's favorite part
I
about
can't
the
wait
show
to
is
check
all the
that out.
bands that he learns about,
Yeah, man.
just by producing them.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. All right, Max, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with my good friend Nick Shoulders and the OK Crawdad. He's from
The OK Crawdad?
Yep, he's originally
Cool.
from Arkansas, currently living in New Orleans, playing here in April. I think he's playing April 2nd, but
Nice. Where at?
High Dive. He played here last summer, and it's fucking super awesome. What he calls wobbly grandpa music.
Wobbly
It's
grandpa music.
Yeah.
Rad country, and you know.
If there was a
He's-
section at the record store that just said
Wobbly Grandpa music.
I'd buy everything
I
they
would
have
buy
in
it.
stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
yeah,
somebody
that's
needs
his
to make a
gig.
wobbly grandpa music fucking like
Just drunk Dom and the
Spotify
Roaches and
playlist.
fucking
somebody make that.
Yeah.
Somebody make the wobbly
I'm
grandpa
pretty sure
music.
my drunk playlist on Spotify could be qualified as a wobbly grandpa station. So
Yeah. I'm a wobbly, not a grandpa. I'm just a wobbly pa.
Is there a particular song that you would recommend?
His probably the most popular one is Snakes and Waterfalls. But yeah, all his stuff's great.
It goes, don't go snaking waterfalls, just to the boa constrictors that you used to.
Womp,
Womp,
womp.
womp,
That's why I didn't make the joke.
All right.
Good God.
Snakes and waterfalls.
All right, good talk, guys.
Yeah, good talk. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for coming.
Goatee.
Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Been the
out.
Wobbly Grandpa podcast.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're listening to the Wobbly Grandpa Podcast. Next week, we'll talk about getting my shoes fit so I don't wobble so much.
Next week we'll talk about how I don't really care for mayonnaise anymore.
Next week, we'll talk about I'm giving all my stuff away. Take it down so I can watch you enjoy it. All right. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening to the motherfucking podcast. Thanks to our guests, Max Sherman and Jay Partylord. Thanks to our producer, Gordo, in the booth. Woo. Thanks to everybody for your feedback on the live stream. The audio podcast version will sound much better, we promise.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're getting it done.
Thanks to Sepultura for making my
Yeah,
teenage
thanks
years
for
better.
Velveeta for making our teenage years better. And
to
Sepultura.
Sepultura.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Sepulveda. Yeah. Sepultura, thank you so much.
I'm
This is,
stealing these rolling papers.
yeah, no, dude, I got a whole fucking box of them, man.
I know,
I'm never
so
going to
I'm
roll
stealing
that many
those.
joints in my life. My grandkids are going to be rolling joints with those things, man. I can't roll a joint for shit. I smoke a joint like a month. Thank you so much for listening to the motherfucking podcast. Thanks so much to our patrons for supporting everything we do. I'm Aaron.
I'm Logan.
I'm Gordo.
We'll catch you next week.
Sing.
Ding dong, banana.
I'm Gordo sound.
I'm Gordo.
G.I. Joe.